Good morning, my little couch potatoes, and welcome to the comfiest court on the internet. I'm your host, Llama, and it's time for dramatic testimony, overruled objections, and absolutely unqualified opinions. So grab your snuggies, blankets, some delicious snacks, and get ready to watch court with your internet besties. This is Couch Court with Llama. Thank you guys for being patient today. I've had a little chaotic morning. I didn't want to get out of bed, to be quite honest with you. It was very snuggy. And then today's little Llama's last day of school. So getting him up and going was a challenge. He's already on that summer sleep schedule. So thank you for being here and waiting for me. I really appreciate it. Let's say good morning to our besties. Who do we got? We got Lady and Greg. Good morning. Good morning, babe. Buffy. Good morning, bestie. Good morning. Mama Llama. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm so thirsty. My coffee is too hot. Oh, it's always the worst, right? Oh, that's so nice, Mama Llama. Thank you. I do have some of the best friends, so it's I love them. So thank you. Haley Wood, good morning. Well, afternoon for you, but either way, I hope it's good. Oh, Teresia, good morning. Look at everybody gathering in here. Kathy from Wyoming. Welcome, everybody. Scooch on in the couch, making room for everybody. Let's see. Let me pop that on because I forgot about that yesterday. Oh, the late night watching this. Oh gosh, we had our members only yesterday or last night. I'm sorry. Another reason probably why I'm a little tired. That was a lot of silly fun. It was a good time. We did some reading. Apparently I tried my best to have a Boston accent. I don't know what happened last night, to be quite honest with you guys. But I did share something last night, and I'll share with everyone today who wasn't able to be there. I was talking about how last night after we were all done and I got a shower, I was in there because that's my thinking time. And I was thinking about how much Aperture got paid. Almost $500,000 for a case like this, which I don't even know how they got approved to have this budget for this type of case. I've never seen anything like it. That's so wild to me. And I got real pissed. I got really mad because we hear all the time, oh, we don't have the resources. We don't have the resources to test the rape kits. We don't have the resources to find missing people. Oh, we don't have the resources for DNA to test, cold cases. But yet, here we have a court that has apparently $400,000 to throw at these clowns. It's unbelievable. I was so mad about it. The more I think about it, the more mad I get. Because that happens all around, everywhere. And it's just infuriating. And the only reason they needed to spend this much money on Aperture is because they have no other evidence. Because otherwise, why do you need to pay that much money? It's because you don't have anything. And I'm so upset about it. And I don't even live there, but I am upset for the people of Canton. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you, Kathy, for agreeing with me. An early morning rant with Llama. Oh, goodness. But yeah, I mean, it's just, when you think about it, it's just, it's infuriating. Yes, me too. Me too. Hey, Bobby B. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Missed you yesterday. Glad to see you today. You have lots of thoughts about this guy. Oh, I can't wait to hear them. Oh, this guy. Today's going to be a spicy day, probably, unless he's Mr. Dr. Welchure is his name. He's on the stand, unless he's still in the middle of cross. Apparently, he's not even halfway through his cross. So it's probably going to be a lessee all day today. It is going to be a shorter day, a half day for them. Now, a half day for the jury, I don't know if that means a half day for court. So she said she was going to keep the jury till about 1:30 today because one of the jurors has a doctor's appointment. And I imagine it must be a pretty serious one that couldn't be rescheduled, which is very nice of the court to accommodate them for that. So that's all right. we'll let that one slide. It's not just Bev having a holiday. But I don't know if that means that the lawyers, more than likely, probably have a bunch of stuff they need to argue. So I don't know if they're going to be doing that after they send their jury away. So we'll just see how today goes. We may have a half day. We may have a whole day. Who knows? Let's just have fun and hang out together, right? Oh my goodness, you guys, I'm so thirsty. Oh, and last night for the members only, I was like, oh, I found a fun new background. Yay. It was fun until, for some reason, it didn't happen until we went live, because I had it up for like a half hour when I was backstage. And then I go live. The background, for some reason, it kept putting the background on my teeth, which was ridiculous. So that's fun. Green screens. Mine's tricky. It has a mind of its own. I should probably be nicer to my green screen. Hello, Vic. Hello. Welcome, welcome. A whole day of breaks and sidebars. I'm going to be so PO'd. I'm going to be so mad if we have a repeat of, what day was it? Monday? No, Tuesday, where they didn't start court for freaking ever. That's a very frustrating day. And I am getting very frustrated by all these sidebars all the time and not being able to hear them because I'm nosy. But hopefully just manifest into the universe that today is going to start on time. We're not going to have that many sidebars. Unless he's going to destroy this guy. It's manifested, everybody. Okay. Disco teeth. That's exactly what it was. Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. You slept in till last night and missed the whole day. Oh, no. Well, I'm glad you're awake for today. It was an experience yesterday. It was basically a whole lot of Dr. Welchure being like, we don't know where John was standing. We don't know where the car was. We don't really know what happened. But I put this report together, so let's do that. You're asking for a lot today. I know. I know. But, maybe she could do us a solid for once. We've been dedicated to this trial. Maybe she should reward us. That would be nice. Oh, if you guys haven't yet, hit the like button. That way people know we're live. We can make new friends. They'll find our channel. They can sit on the comfy couch with us. And if you have social media, share this video on social media. Let the whole world know, I guess, that, hey, we're here. We like to have a fun time. Come hang out with the cool kids. I don't know if we're that cool, but I don't know if I'd ever call myself a cool kid, but here I am. Oh, my goodness. What else do I have to tell you guys? I feel like I have something else to tell you. Forgot what day it was. It's Thursday, so tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, the lovely Terry True Crime will be on True Crime and Wine Time tonight with our lovely Captain, who you see in chat every day. It's going to be her guest co-host this week. And they're going to be talking about the story of Glennon Engelman, who, I don't know much about this, but it is a dentist turned serial killer. So I'm very excited for the show tonight. I don't know anything about it. I think it's going to be great. And everyone go over there and show Terry and Captain all the love tonight. I think I might be behind the scenes running the show. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. I never know how my morning's going. Good morning, Catherine Dinwiddie. Well, that's a fun name. Good morning. Have a seat on our couch. Everyone make room for Catherine. Please and thank you. Teresa says, I'm so glad I found your channel. You guys are the best. Oh, thank you. We're so happy to find you, Teresa. I'm so happy to find all of you guys. You guys make every day just super fun and easy, because this is kind of hard. I'll be honest with you. It's pretty hard. For me, anyway. I would not describe myself as like an extrovert. As a matter of fact, if I'm not on here or talking to people on Discord, I can literally go the whole day without saying a word. I think it was Saturday. I didn't say a single word until like 1:30 in the afternoon. So you guys make it super great. Good morning. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me say good morning to Angie first. And then everybody be like Bobby B. Be like Bobby B. Oh, that's fun to say. Hit the like button on your way in. Join, become a member, because we had a members only last night. We're going to be doing more members only things for all of our members because we're so appreciative of them. And if you can't afford to be a member, that's okay. That's okay. You know why? Because we have a very generous chat who does like to get memberships. That's right. You could randomly get a membership. YouTube chooses, not the person who dishes them out, by the way. YouTube does it randomly, but you just go to the join button. You're going to see 3 little dots in your top right corner. You're going to see one that says gift membership settings. Can you just turn the little toggle on? And you might be a lucky winner of a membership. Anyway, that's true. Don't they make chat fun? Oh my gosh, it's such a good time. Oh, true story again. What me not being an extrovert? Yeah, it's true. It's very, very true. Yes. So yeah, Terry and Cabin will be on tonight. I'm very excited about that. I recorded Diddy. I think Diddy's out. I didn't actually have time to check this morning, but I recorded that last night. That trial, you guys. Every day, there is just something that. So I read those cold, for the most part. And every day, there's something that comes out that just breaks me. Like I can't. It's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Oh, speaking of, if you guys didn't watch it, we got some time to kill. The ceiling fan is up, but we have a few moments. So go watch my video because I talk about, okay, so the rapper Kid Cudi, I don't really know who he is, to be honest with you, but apparently he's a big deal. Allegedly, Diddy Combs blew up his car with a Molotov cocktail. Well, it didn't blow up necessarily. They didn't do a very good job. But it used an old English bottle and a very fancy handkerchief, a silk one. Anyway, that got me. But so apparently that arson investigation is still open. Okay. And they had collected some fingerprints, but the firefighter who was on the stand yesterday said one of the LAPD officers was ordered to destroy the fingerprint cards. What? Yeah. I'm not saying he was paid off, but like, if you've been following the trial, he probably was paid off. So yeah, definitely check out my Diddy recap. It's a wild ride. Oh, you did rewatch Some of the Days? Yeah, that guy. I don't like that guy. The only thing I know is that the federal government doesn't take you to court unless they're ready to put you behind bars. So it's not very often you're going to get a not guilty in court, no matter who you are. So that's my saving grace there. So who didn't show up yesterday? What do you mean, who didn't show up yesterday? I don't know what you're talking about, Lady in Gray. Let's see here. Now, let's see. We have a full day of court tomorrow, right? Yes, we do have a full day of court tomorrow. Just a half day today. It was last week where I didn't have court on Friday. So I think Dr. Welchure is going to be on the stand all day today with Alessi, because I don't think Alessi, well, I could be completely wrong about this. Maybe he does let him go, but I think Alessi is going to want more time to just rake this guy over the coals, but maybe not. We said the same thing about Burgess, and then look what happened. Oh, it may not be out yet. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't get a chance to check this morning, and the lovely Amos edits them for me and puts in like cute little things. And she is out of town in a hotel for a work conference, so I'm not sure if she actually like had the time. Am I laggy? I feel like I'm laggy. Just my brain, maybe. Oh, there was a no-show witness? I don't know. I don't think so. Because the guy that was still on the stand yesterday, Deontay Nash, he's still on the stand this morning. So I'm not sure. There was like a firefighter, I think a cop, and then Deontay Nash, the stylist, if I remember right. Bobby V asked, is there any reason for a half day? Yes, apparently one of the jurors has a doctor's appointment. And Bev promised them that they would only do a half day so that juror could make his or her doctor's appointment, which is very nice. So, doctor's appointments, depending on what kind of doctor, can be impossible to reschedule. So it might have been like an important, doctor's appointment. So that's why they're having a half day. I don't know if all of court is having a half day. I feel like we're getting to that point in the trial where the prosecution's about to rest. We do know that. We're pretty sure Dr. Welchure, see my green screen just eat my hair again. We know that Dr. Welchure is most likely the last witness for the Commonwealth. So they're going to be resting their case probably by Friday for sure. And then usually that's when they start arguing over, the defense will get up. They'll say they want a mistrial because the prosecution, they'll want the judge to rule, with prejudice, meaning she can't be charged again. They do that in every single trial. They stand up, say, I don't think the prosecution has, went beyond a reasonable doubt with evidence for my client. Let's get rid of this. I've literally never seen that work ever. I've never seen one when they're like, you know what? You're right. I haven't seen that before. I'm sure it happens, but no. And then they're going to have to start arguing jury instructions, which I imagine are going to be heavily argued about because I heard in the first trial that the way the jury instructions were written, it was difficult for the jurors to understand. And so I think they're going to argue about those. So all of that, we should be coming up to more arguments being made outside of the jury, and we should hear them. They shouldn't be sidebars. We should be hearing them. So, it's uploading. Okay, thank you, Bob. Thank you. Hello, hippie girl. Good morning. Hope you're doing great today. Everyone make room on the couch for hippie girl. Welcome. Yes, they do. They do try to accommodate jurors in their schedule as much as possible because you are asking a lot of people to reschedule their whole lives and all that stuff. So they're pretty good about that. Good morning, P. Lola's mom. Good morning. So many of you are in green. That's so exciting because sometimes it's hard to read the green and who that person is, but I'm not complaining. I love everybody in green. Appreciate that. Oh goodness. Let's see. It's 8:59. Are they gonna be on time today? We will see. Oh my gosh. And if you guys missed yesterday, I know Kathy said she missed yesterday. This guy on the stand is so freaking frustrating. We thought Jen McCabe was incapable of yes and no or no answers. This guy can't do it for the defense. Absolutely refuses to answer yes or no. Has to explain every single question he's asked like he's writing his freaking dissertation. It's so annoying. But when prosecution questions him, it's short, quick answers just like that every single time. So frustrating. They did do a short voir dire of this guy yesterday. It was in regards to a slide That was from Trooper Paul's investigation, because it seems like they're trying to get Trooper Paul testimony in. I'm not entirely sure, but you remember that guy. Oh boy, that guy. So that's where we are today. Lady in Gray says, regardless if you think Welchure has helped the seat Commonwealth or not, I don't think the Commonwealth is ending with a bang with him. I agree. Again, he has said numerous times, I don't know where John was standing. I don't know where the car was. There's a lot of things he doesn't know, and that any one little variable that was changed would completely change all the outcomes. Now, I don't know what is more reasonable doubt than that. Like, it's not even close to being, yes, this is definitely what happened. Like, he couldn't say that. So I thought that was very, very interesting. Yes, chat gave us so many new words. Plonker, that came from Haley, who was using that yesterday. I don't know necessarily what it means across the pond, but we have new words added to our vocabulary from this. So thank you for plonker. I think there was butt nugget was being used a lot yesterday. I love that. P-Lola's mom agrees with Lady in Gray and says there was no ta-da boom moment with this guy. I think the jurors will remember him, though, to the SUV in space. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because he has this whole, anything is possible, but not everything is probable, right? Which is logical, okay? But then he was like, yeah, the SUV, it could even be in space. And Alessi goes, sir, are you saying that the Lexus could be in space? He was like, well, I mean, it's possible, but it's not probable. It was a moment. It was a moment. Oh, I don't know. Unless he's not letting him look at his stuff on his computer, which is interesting. Just only the paper notes. And I think that's also kind of messing this guy up a bit. So I think that's interesting. Hippie Girl says, so excited for next week. Need defense to do their thing. In my opinion, this all should. I cannot wait for defense to do their case. I think they're going to make things make a lot of sense. And this is the prosecution's fault. Calling witnesses out of order. I have no idea what the timeline is. You have different people saying different things. You're throwing a bunch of numbers that I'm supposed to keep track of that don't even make any sense. We got time math. We got evidence that wasn't collected properly. We got evidence that's missing, conveniently missing. Defense, honestly, if they just give, they can tell any story they want right now, as long as they tell it cohesively, people might understand. And that is so bad for the Commonwealth. That is so bad. Oh, it should have been thrown out. I get mad every time I think about it. Oh, you guys are unmuted. Hold on, everybody. I know she's just going to call them to the bench, but curious the last year new defense lawyer thinks of the trial so far. Me too. I haven't seen that person in court, so I'm not sure. Okay.
Let's read. And
There we
all
go.
right, Mr. Alessi, I will hear you on your argument on the voir dire.
Ooh. Get right to it.
Your Honor, I am going to address the Trooper Paul aspect, and then I'm going to address the Dr. Scorti-Bello aspect of Dr. Welchure. With regard to Trooper Paul, I would like to draw the court's attention to the following documents for the straightforward proposition that Dr. Welchure has not only reviewed, he has not only considered, that he has adopted. I went back and looked at the documents, and the basis for this is as follows. Slides 22 and 23 do not just depict Trooper Joseph Paul himself. They show Trooper Paul conducting the CARS analysis on February 1st of 2022. Importantly, these slides highlight the mileage odometer of 12,665, and I respectfully request the court to anchor into that odometer reading, because I'm going to show the path that that odometer reading takes through all of the documents, but I want to emphasize the start, the genesis of the odometer reading of 12,665 miles is with Trooper Paul as he conducted the CARS analysis on February 1st. Now, here's where Dr. Welchure comes in. Dr. Welchure then uses this key data point, odometer 12,665, as the basis, the starting point for his determination of the locations and times for the events of January 29 of 2022. Dr. Welchure uses his scenario analysis of Miss Reed's travels, and that's detailed on slides 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28 to calculate and then deduct 36 miles from the odometer according to Trooper Paul on February 1st of 2022 to arrive at an odometer reading of 12,629, which obviously is different from the start, the anchor I talked about of 12,665. So the assumed odometer of 12,629, again, is based on Trooper Paul's CARS analysis in slides 22 and 23, are then used as a tether, a connection to the events recorded by the VCH and the Lexus on the following slides: 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 35, and 36. I elucidate this and I explicate the slide numbers to show how many there are in Dr. Welchure's report that are rooted in the anchor point and then the change in the deduction of the odometer. So the events memorialized by Trooper Paul on February 1st, including the odometer reading, provide the foundation for Dr. Welchure's entire analysis of the VCH events. The entire analysis of Dr. Welchure's VCH events. That is the adoption aspect of what I started with. Two more points. In addition, Dr. Welchure testified on his voir dire that the image on the left of slide 36 from his January 30th, 2025 presentation came from a file marked carsj.paul. Now, he did contend that it wasn't the exact same image, but I want to go to this. In fact, the image on slide 36 is from the drone used by Trooper Paul, and the citation for that is page 4, item 11 of the CARS report. That's where the drones are from. Dr. Welchure didn't do any drone activity. He took the drone that he had in his report that was just a little bit different than the one I was showing him. It comes from page 4, item 11 of the CARS report. And I quote, "The crash scene was documented during the on-scene investigation by utilizing Alicia's GNSS GPS mapping system and a DJI Mavic 2 UAS. This data was input to a computer-aided diagram program, which is IMS 360. Here's the key: to produce a scale diagram of this collision. So the DJI Mavic is the CARS team drone. This image of Dr. Welchure's slide 36 is clearly and indisputably from the drone. And the only drone extant is the drone of Trooper Paul and the CARS team. Last point with regard to the Trooper Paul basis in adoption of Dr. Welchure. Mr. Brennan asked Dr. Welchure on voir dire if the image from slide 36 actually came from the CERT team, which is simply not true. The CERT team, actually Lieutenant Tully with the CERT team, took about a dozen photos of the taillight in the snow in the dark around 6 p.m. on January 29, 2022. Lieutenant O'Hara said that the CERT team never traveled back to the scene again. So there were very obviously no photos or images taken by the CERT team in the daylight from the drone. And I again refer to slides 22 and slides 23, where Dr. Welchure said it was more likely than not that it was Trooper Paul in those slides, but the point, whether it's Trooper Paul or not, is completely overwhelmed by what I just argued and presented as specific factual basis for a review, a consideration, and an adoption of the work of Trooper Paul. Unless your Honor has any questions, I would now move on to Dr. Scorti-Bello. Thank you.
He came ready to play this morning. Sorry, I'm on mute because Zoe's at my feet snoring very loudly.
Dr. Scorti-Bello will be much shorter. Mr. Woke, do we have the slide of the Dr. Scorti-Bello it's at the end of the slide presentation with her name on it? Oh. You just give the slide number, please. So it is slide 131. I almost know it verbatim, Your Honor, so I will continue. If Ms. Gilman has slide or someone could turn it on. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. So with regard to slide 31, at the very top, and this again is a slide presentation of Dr. Welchure. So up at the very top, and so Dr. Welchure admitted that he not only reviewed the autopsy report, he admitted that he not only considered the autopsy report, he admitted that he adopted it, and I'm going to put adopt in quotes, to the extent that he used it in his slide presentation, and he actually, to show the depth of those three verbs, he's got in orange highlight under final diagnosis, multiple skull fractures, base of skull, and cavellarium. He testified, obviously, about the rear wounds of Mr. O'Keefe. He testified about how he believed those wounds came about, and he cited as corroboration the highlight of multiple skull fractures, base of skull, and cavellarium. It couldn't be any more obvious, his rooting in this document and reliance upon it. Why else would he have it in his slide presentation? And he's got the name of Dr. Scorti-Bello. And frankly, Your Honor, he didn't fight that whatsoever in the questioning of him. Then you go to underneath cause of death, blood impact, injuries of head, and hypothermia. He essentially repeated that on his testimony. And then if we could, Mr. Wolk, just go to the right. And so you've got highlighted head, skull fracture radiating from the right occipital skull and into the right parietal bone, right and left occipital foci, and bilateral anterior foci and orbital plates. Again, the highlighted means something. He's adopting it. And lastly, the depiction of the skull here, I believe that's Dr. Welchure's handwriting. I believe that's his green, the LR, because I've never seen this green highlighting before. And it could also be Dr. Scorty Bellows. That's another possibility. I'm not sure. But let's assume sort of the most conservative part that it's Dr. Scorty Bellows. The key part is he's got it in there and he is referencing it. So, Your Honor, the last point really for both of them, and I wanted to save this point because it applies to both. With regard to experts, the law is clear. So I think the easiest part to show what our position here is the adoption. But in it, it's clearly shown. Adoption doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You just have to put your expert hands around it, wrestle with it, deal with it. And there is no rule of law that I'm aware of that says you can't question an expert witness unless it's something that the expert witness agrees with. If the expert witness has reviewed it and considered it, and especially if they've rejected it. The easiest is obviously reviewed, considered, and adopted. But it's certainly permissible and important to a defendant's constitutional right, Sixth Amendment to cross-examination, if an expert says or even infers, I reject this. I reject what Trooper Paul did, or I reject what Dr. Scorty Bello did. That is decision-making of an expert that the attorney has a right to be able to test. Why did you reject it? What was your thought process in rejecting it? And that applies to both Trooper Paul and Dr. Scorty Bello, because as I understand it, this witness, Dr. Welchure, is not, he says, I'm not relying upon Dr. or Trooper Paul, which is completely false based upon what I just showed. But even if he just rejects it, in addition to what he has done, we have the right to test and get answers as to why he did it. And the same with Dr. Scorty Bello. Once he goes to this level, Your Honor, I believe it's a straightforward right, especially of a defendant in a criminal trial, and especially of the stakes and the charges this high, that we get to test it. What I think, lastly, my point here, Your Honor, the Commonwealth is doing is this. The Commonwealth knows Trooper Paul and Dr. Scorty Bello are problematic for their theory and their narrative. Trooper Paul has got, if you work backwards from his key cycles, you end up with 1162-2, their key cycle. That ends up being not in front of 34 Fairview, but it ends up when the Lexus is in the possession of the state. That is the result of that. And that was something that was addressed square head on in the first proceeding. We're not coming up with some fanciful ghost in the second trial. This was gone through extensively in the first proceeding. And I understand this is a new trial, but it goes to show it's not something coming out of the blue, etc. And with regard to Dr. Scorty Bello, it was remarkable on the redirect that I've never seen a prosecution essentially go after the opinions and conclusion of their own medical examiner when they basically said, the medical examiner, I can't call this a homicide. The manner of death is undetermined. And the medical examiner says, I don't see any motor vehicle impact injuries. There couldn't be anything more apt, more probative than whether or not the injuries to the decedent are from a motor vehicle. The Dr. Welchure himself is saying they are. That's the essence of his opinion. It's the essence of his test. We get to be able to respectfully, Your Honor, say, well, wait a minute. You said you looked at the autopsy. You said this. You highlight it, but you're going against the medical examiner on whether there's motor vehicle injuries. The experts can't, Your Honor, cherry pick and choose from documents. They can't use it as a shield and a sword. They can't put up, for example, Dr. Scorty Bello's autopsy report, cherry pick things that benefit from them, and then and they did it on direct. And then all of a sudden on cross, when we want to go and test that, they say, oh, no, you can't do it. Your Honor, this whole argument is absurd. And it's antithetical to the Sixth Amendment. And even if, and this is my last point, even if this were merely a civil case, this would be routine cross-examination against the expert on the side. So in conclusion, Your Honor, I respectfully request that Ms. Reed and her team be allowed to exercise their constitutional right to cross-examination, the keystone of a defense in a criminal trial, cross-examination, and that they be able to take the shield that the prosecution is trying to put on us and be able to combat the sword that the prosecution has put forward with regard to trying to cherry pick from this information, and that we get to proceed, and we get to proceed undaunted from all the serial objections yesterday that interrupted my cross-examination. Thank you, Your Honor.
He is so passionate. Love it. I love hearing him argue. What you got, Brandon?
What arises from the litany of complaints by the defense is that there is no constitutional right to usurp the rules of evidence. There is no case law, as much as they urge the court and yell out the word case law and constitutional right and Sixth Amendment right. There is no case law to support what they are trying to do. It is a simple endeavor that is clouded by all the rhetoric that they offer. And it is clear, and the court knows what they're trying to do. They are trying to pit the inadmissible opinion of a non-testifying witness against a testifying witness. They have asked Dr. Scorty Bello what her opinion is. And although it's not consistent with our reading of the case law, they were allowed to introduce that it was an undetermined cause of death or mechanism. That evidence is already in front of the jury, but they can't simply repeat it because it sounds good to them or they think it's helpful. Simply because a witness uses a document or looks at it or uses part of an autopsy does not let them regurgitate an opinion that's already in evidence to try to phantom cross-examine an expert. Dr. Welchure is clear. He did not rely on Dr. Scorty Bello's conclusion that this cause of death was undetermined. In fact, as an aside, he said, I wouldn't, because she's not qualified for that. And so this is a simple game. Let's pit one witness against the other and suggest that the Commonwealth's witnesses are inconsistent. They take it a step further. They want to relive what they think is their past success last year in this case without actually calling the witness. They want the jury to hear their perspective that a past witness had confusion in his analysis, but they don't want to call the witness. They want you to allow them to do that, not just shouting it out and have sustained objections, which has happened this entire case, but they actually want you to be able to allow them to ask Dr. Welch these questions, which he did not rely on. We had a voir dire. He was clear. He did not rely on the analysis of Trooper Paul. He did not rely on that determination or undetermined determination by Dr. Scorty Bello. It is that simple. They try to throw some fluff out and they throw around some documents. We have slide 22. Simply because there's a suggestion that Trooper Paul might be the hand in the picture is not an anchor, it's not a tether, it's not an adoption, it's no such thing. In fact, if you look at that photograph, it was taken by Zach Clark. So by the rationale of the defense, they should now be able to ask Dr. Welchure any question they want about Zach Clark's opinions, efforts, what Zach Clark did. It is a photograph that he considered, not an opinion, not an analysis. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Dr. Welchure's analysis or opinions. In fact, the evidence is to the contrary. He came out, conducted an independent analysis, did all of the work himself, considered documents, and he was specific about what was part of his opinion and what was not. And this information was not part of his opinion. They turned to the Google map. Bit misleading. This was generated by Google. Two separate people used the same program, but when you look at the CARS report and you look at Dr. Welchure's PowerPoint, it's different. Dr. Welchure's has a map on the side, and when you look at the numbers themselves, the CAR report says minimum 36.1, maximum 38.8. Dr. Welchure's slide, 37.9, 38.1. So in no way did he adopt, anchor, tether, use as any basis. In fact, his is different and separate, as all of his analysis is. And so the portrayal of this necessity of information so they can sneak in inadmissible opinions with no witness is simply improper. There is no case law. There is no legal support for it. They cannot reach back into last year and manipulate a witness and ask him about something that he didn't rely on because it feels good or it sounds good for their case. Dr. Welchure did not rely on Trooper Paul's analysis or reports, and he did not rely on the conclusion of Dr. Scortibello of undetermined. If they want to call Trooper Paul, well, maybe they can try to do that, but Dr. Welchure is not the right witness for it. These opinions to try to do a credibility value is a core preclusion in criminal law, a core preclusion. You cannot vouch for the credibility of another witness. You cannot comment. It's like asking, did the police officer lie when he said the light was red? It's the absolute same analysis. It just has a lot of icing on it.
Oh, I hope they bring Trooper Paul.
Very briefly, bring the jury. Start getting the jury ready, please.
Your Honor, with regard to Trooper Paul, Mr. Brennan did not address 80% of the slides that I addressed that showed the basis. When he talked about the picture, making it seem like the picture is the only thing we're relying upon, there's clearly other items, but even the picture, Your Honor, the purpose of the picture is it's got the odometer reading. That's why they took the picture, and that's the tether. So the photo is completely relevant. It's not who's in it. It's the fact that that's the odometer reading they're using. Next point with regard to case law, Mr. Brennan presents none to go against the common sense law and that has been there for years. The other thing, Your Honor, is with regard to Mr. Brennan keeps trying to put my arguments into a credibility, like we're trying to attack the credibility of Trooper Paul. He says that we're trying to redo last trial. To the contrary, Your Honor, it's the Commonwealth that brought Trooper Paul into the second trial through Dr. Welchure and Dr. Welchure's reliance on all the work of Trooper Paul. They brought it in here, and because of that, we get the right to cross-examine it. Last point. This is not about credibility. He keeps saying something that's not happening, that we're going to attack the credibility of Trooper Paul. What we want to do is to say to Dr. Welchure, you have brought up Trooper Paul. You have used his odometer reading. That odometer reading tethers through to Google. It tethers through everything you're doing. It's the foundation. But what you're ignoring, Dr. Welchure, are all the key cycle results that come from that odometer reading that you relied upon. Dr. Welchure himself can't cherry pick, grab things that he needs from Trooper Paul to do his analysis. And then the Commonwealth say, but you can't go after that because it somehow has Trooper Paul's name on it. It's illogical, Your Honor, and it's incorrect under the law. Thank you.
Ooh. God, I hope they bring Trooper Paul.
I disagree with you, Mr. Alessi.
Oh,
I'm not allowing in the line of questioning regarding Trooper Paul, and I'm not allowing the line of questioning regarding Dr. Scortibello.
boo.
That's my ruling. Let's bring the jury in.
Chat, get your potatoes ready.
Well, come over here because they're on their way.
I don't understand why not though. I don't understand. He clearly used both that and the ME stuff. I don't know. I don't understand that. I'm not a legal person, so I don't know. But damn it, Bev. I'm so Do you think the defense is going to call Trooper Paul? I think they should. I think they should. Yes. Boo. Throwing potatoes at her. Gosh. Yeah, thanks, Bev. Worst. I don't understand. Maybe somebody else understands in the chat. I mean, he clearly used it. There we go. Everybody's throwing their potatoes. That's right. Boo, Bev, boo. Like, why is she even... She's already on my nerves today. Not a fan. Speaking of, there's the fan. Oh, geez. Oh, we want to look at this fan instead of the other one, apparently. Also, what is that room behind the podium where the lawyers stand? Is that just like their shame closet where they just put a bunch of shit in there? Because that's what it looked like to me. It didn't look like it was a functioning room at all. At all. But you know what? Alessi is fired up. He just lost his argument. And I think that's going to make him more fired up for when Dr. Welcher sits in that witness stand. So I'm hoping the defense calls everyone. I mean, everyone. Hippie Girl says, me too, girl. Me too. Let's go ahead and call Trooper Paul. Why not? Hear his ridiculous nonsense. And then let's call Trooper Paul. Let's call everyone. The state doesn't want to call. And how dare Brennan be like, they're trying to be sneaky. They're trying to be sneaky when you have been so sneaky this whole trial, not telling the jury about photos being not what they are, such as the reflection photo, the hair photo. I mean, come on. Talk about being sneaky. Jeez. Pilola's mom says she's so biased. The world watches. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't like this decision at all. It doesn't make any sense. Savage Cashew says, when did Brennan mean they can try to call Dr. Paul or Trooper Paul? Is that a challenge? It seemed like a challenge, didn't it? I hope they're like, challenge accepted. Let's go. Because what is Brennan going to do? Could you imagine? Because it's not very often where I've seen a trial where the defense will call prosecution witnesses because they can't call them because they're so bad.
Yay. All persons have any business before the Honorable Beverly Canoni.
Oh, yes.
Norfolk Superior Court before the county of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. I'll the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Court is now open. You may be seated.
Yes, send me pictures of your fans. I'm going to put those together this weekend along with pets for our pet parade next week.
We were waiting. We were doing work in here.
But put your YouTube name.
So I do have to ask you those 3 questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left yesterday? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? No. Everyone said no or sure. Thank you. Could we have Dr. Welcher back in, please? And Mr. Leslie, feel free to go to the podium.
With the computer and any electronics there, so we don't have to address it.
It doesn't look like it's turned on at
Oh,
all.
okay, good. And smart watches.
And smartwatches.
Sir, I'll remind you, you're still under oath.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Your Honor.
Well, if the laptop doesn't appear to be on, why not just shut it? Bev.
And Dr. Welcher, we're going to ask you to not turn on your computer yet.
There we go.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, if I could, smartwatches that are receiving text messages during his direct, if we can make sure that that does not occur.
I can get my email number on. I think all the time.
Okay, or just don't look at your watch.
That's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning, Dr. Welcher.
Good morning.
Do you know whether there was glass found on the bumper of Miss Reed's Lexus SUV?
My understanding there was, yes.
Did you reach a conclusion on whether the glass on the bumper came from the drinking glass that you assert Mr. O'Keefe was holding at the time of the alleged impact?
I didn't have an opportunity to inspect the glass, but the glass was broken and there was glass on the bumper. That's all I know.
So you, as you sit here today, you have no basis to conclude that the glass on the bumper came from the glass that you depict as having been held by Mr. O'Keefe at the time of the alleged impact. Is that correct?
Well, you're mixing a couple things.
No, Dr. Welcher,
So can
if
I-
you can just answer my question.
I'm
If
trying
I
to.
need to rephrase it, I will.
Um,
I'll ask it a different way.
Please.
You have no basis as you sit here today to conclude that the glass on the bumper came from a drinking glass connected to Mr. O'Keefe, do you?
Well, we have a picture of a broken glass at the scene. So I wouldn't say we have no basis. We don't necessarily have enough to conclude it's from it, though.
We know that it's not.
Do you had depictions in your test with Mr. O'Keefe holding a glass, correct?
Correct.
My question is, you have no evidence to show at all other than, and I'm talking evidence, testing information. You're saying you have no evidence that shows that the glass on the bumper is not the same glass as you showed on your slides as being found supposedly at the scene. You have no test evidence that that's the same glass, do you?
So again, the one I have at my testing obviously was not the same glass. We have pictures of a broken bar glass in the snow near where Mr. O'Keefe's body was. We have glass fragments on the rear of the bumper. That's the extent of my knowledge on the correlation between those two.
So do you said you reviewed the reports and testimonies of various Commonwealth representatives, correct? That's in your report.
Correct, in the initial.
In the initial, right, correct. And some of those reports included forensic scientists who work for the Massachusetts State Police, correct?
I believe that's correct.
And you put those in your report as documents that you reviewed, correct?
Correct.
And as you sit here today, it's your testimony. You don't know whether in any of the reports of the Massachusetts State Police, there is an answer to the question of whether there's any connection at all between the glass found in the snow and the glass on the bumper.
I recall it being inconclusive.
Oh, so you recall that the testing was inconclusive?
I don't remember what testing they did, but for example, when they put the taillight fragments back together, they were able to deduce that the fragments were from the taillight. I don't think they attempted to do that with the glass.
But they did.
Assume that there has been testing of the glass on the bumper, and assume that that testing conclusively determines that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that was found in the snow.
Okay.
Assume that.
Okay.
How would that affect your analysis?
I'd want to know where the glass came from, but we still have a whole bunch of other elements. So I don't think it would affect the end results.
So would it have any part in your analysis with my assumption that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that's associated with the broken glass that was supposedly found in the snow?
Yes, I mean, we always want to have as much answers or as many answers as possible. So I would want to know if we could figure out where it came from.
And wouldn't the fact, assuming that the test results show there's no connection, meaning the glass on the bumper is different from the glass in the snow, wouldn't that be contrary to your theory of what happened in some way?
It depends on when the glass was actually broken. The glass was in his hand. At least that's the testimonial evidence I have seen. So it depends on whether it's broken from contact with the rear of the vehicle or broken with contact on the ground.
Assume that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that was found in the snowbank. Doesn't that, at least in part, contradict your hypothesis as to whether there was contact by the Lexus with Mr. O'Keefe at 34 Fairview?
So if you recall all my slides, nowhere did we discuss that in my slides. So no, it wouldn't contradict it. I would want to know where that glass came from.
But you didn't seek that information, did you, sir, in your analysis to determine where the glass came from?
Well, of course I did. I read the reports about it.
But you sit here and you say you don't know the answer. There's steps you could have taken to get that answer quite easily. Couldn't you have, sir?
Not me. That's a material science expert.
You've been communicating with Lieutenant Tully, haven't you?
Correct.
You couldn't have asked Lieutenant Tully that question?
To my knowledge, he's not a material science expert.
But could he have told you the result of testing on that glass on the bumper and whether it was any way associated with the glass found in the snow? Wouldn't that have been an easy question to ask him? Just, has there been testing, and if so, what's the results?
Yes, but my knowledge from reading the reports was it was inconclusive.
But you didn't read all of the reports, did you, sir?
Apparently not.
Let's turn to another topic, laser scans. Part of your analysis involved conducting laser scans of portions of 1 Meadows Avenue, the house of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
Those laser scans were used, at least in part, to answer the question of whether the collision between Miss Reed's SUV and Mr. O'Keefe's Chevy Traverse at 1 Meadows at approximately 5:07 a.m. on January 29, 2022, caused the right rear taillight of the Lexus to break, correct?
Correct.
And in that analysis, inches literally matter, correct?
You want to get it as accurate as possible.
And the reason why inches matter is because, and we're going to get to this, you try, and you did it in your slide presentation on direct, you tried to see whether the Lexus lined up with the Traverse such that there could be a break of the taillight. That was part of your analysis, correct?
So the main part of the photogrammetry was to determine the speeds and the angles and the degree of overlap on the vehicles. And then we also looked at the damage from the video, or actually it's just where the snow was knocked off the rear of the Chevy Traverse, and document the height of that.
You said the main part. I don't want to engage in semantics. I want to go to my question of, isn't part of the laser scan analysis to determine whether or not those two vehicles align sufficiently such that the Lexus could break, the taillight of the Lexus could break coming into contact with the Chevy Traverse? Wasn't that part of your analysis, at least in part?
Yes.
Okay. And in that analysis, inches literally matter, correct?
It can, depending on which way you're going inches.
So the Ring camera at 1 Meadows, you're familiar with that Ring camera, right? At
Correct.
1 Meadows? That Ring camera at 1 Meadows was used as part of the laser scan process that you and your firm Aperture performed at 1 Meadows on October 2nd, 2024. Do I have the date correct?
I believe so, but like the videos were not literally used during the laser scans. We took the laser scans, the video, combined them together in the process called photogrammetry.
Okay, let's get this down to the fundamentals. You used, and that was my question, Your Honor, if we could publish the exhibit with regard to the Ring camera.
Sure. What exhibit is it?
Yeah, I've got my, yeah. Dr. Welcher, you recognize that ring camera as being at One Meadows. You discussed it, as a matter of fact, on your direct testimony, correct?
Yes.
Now, that ring camera was utilized as part of your laser scan process, correct? It was used.
So you're confusing laser scan and photogrammetry. The video, the laser scanners are together used in the photogrammetry.
Was that ring camera used for any part of your work?
Absolutely, the photogrammetry.
I just need to be able to finish my question, sir. Was
Oh,
that
sorry.
ring camera used for any part of your work at One Meadows on October 2nd, 2024?
Yes.
And it was used for what purpose?
In the photogrammetric process, to establish the position and dimensions of various things in the video. So then we could go back and overlay the vehicles and track the tracks in the snow, as well as look at the damage to the vehicles.
Right. So this was used as a basis, not the only one, to establish dimensions of the other work that was done in analysis at One Meadows, correct?
Correct.
You can take that down, Mr. Wolk. You know that the ring camera at One Meadows, in existence when Aperture did the work on October 2nd, 2024, was different than the ring camera that was in existence on January 29th of 2022, the date where you went through to see if those two vehicles aligned. Is that correct? The cameras are different.
That is correct.
And you know that the cameras are different, and you knew that as part of your analysis, correct?
Correct.
Did you document the differences between the two cameras as part of any work performed at One Meadows?
Yes.
And did you measure any differences there might have been between the location of the newer ring camera from the older one that was in existence on January 29th of 2022?
No, what we did is use the current ring camera in conjunction with the old ring camera, and with the laser scans, we're able to, again, map the points onto the scene. That's why I showed you the report from the photogrammetry software that reported our error.
Sir, my question was just measurement, not your process.
Oh.
Did you measure the difference
I don't believe so.
between where the old camera was and where the new camera was?
No, it was angled slightly more to the right, though.
How would you know that if you were not retained on January 29th of 2022? How would you know where the original angles were?
Because when you look at the first camera, the one on January 22nd, it's here. The new one is slightly over to the right.
That's an eyeball approximation analysis. That's not a measurement, correct?
Well, I don't know that we actually measured it, but we accounted for it and corrected for it. But you can see, for example, what the original one shows, for example, to the left-hand side compared to what the new one shows to the left-hand side, and it's angled more to the right.
Sir, you have experience with ring cameras, correct?
I do.
And I think a lot of members of the public have experience with ring cameras. You can move just the camera portion ever so slightly and change significantly the angle of the camera, can't you, what it captures? Just a small turn,
Potentially.
right? Even a millimeter turn can make a change. A 2 millimeter, a 1 inch can make a significant change with regard to what the camera captures, correct?
Could, sure.
So, did you measure whether the newer camera that was present on October 2nd, 2024 was installed to the left? And I'm talking measure to the right, to the top, or the bottom relative to the camera that was there on January 29th of 2022.
So we solved for the camera
I'm
position.
asking if you measured, sir.
Oh, no, we didn't measure.
So let's talk about some other differences with regard to cameras and Ring cameras. Different Ring cameras can have different levels of distortion, correct?
Potentially.
Cameras, well, are you saying that all Ring cameras have the same level of distortion?
No, but again, they're mass produced. So you could have some that have the same exact distortion. You could have some that have different.
And you don't know the comparative distortion between what I'm just going to now refer to as the old Ring camera that was there January 29, 2022, and the camera that you saw on October 2024, which I'll refer to the new camera. You don't know the difference in the distortion between those cameras as you sit here today, do you?
So we know enough information that if the distortions had been different, our errors would have been too high. And so the fact that our errors are within acceptable, are what's called an RMS error, we know that the distortions are similar enough to give us accurate measurements.
Sir, that is speculation. That
It's
is
not.
not data. That is not a measurement. You didn't measure the distortion, sir, did you? If the cameras, you didn't have the old camera to do it.
We didn't, but we had images from the old camera. And then when we get images from the new camera and solve those camera properties and then overlay data from the old images to the new images with the point clouds, if that distortion is too great, we will have too high of errors in our project, which is why I showed the error report from the photogrammetry process to show that we have checked for that and documented that our errors are an acceptable range so that we have confidence in our results.
You do not have information from the manufacturer of Ring. You didn't present it and you don't have it as to what is the acceptable level of distortion for the analysis that you did, do you, sir?
The
Do you have that from Ring?
And I don't have it for Ring, but I
Thank
don't need
you.
it from Ring.
So now let's go to, if cameras have different levels of distortion, that would change the analysis in reconciling the difference between their angles. That's a pretty straightforward proposition, sir, wouldn't it?
So it depends on how much difference it is, but we have accounted for that.
I like your name.
With which model of the Ring camera was present at One Meadows on January 29, 2022? Which model?
I don't know. I'd have to go look through the data.
Do you
Yes.
believe I'm not going to take up the time to have you look, but do you really believe you've got the model of the Ring camera that was in existence on January 29th of 2022?
I don't know. I
You
need to
didn't
look through the
present it
report.
in your direct testimony, did you, sir?
I did not.
So do you have the model of the Ring camera that was present at One Meadows on October 2nd, 2024?
No.
So you don't have even the model for either one of them.
Nope. But we have videos from both of them and scans of the scene.
So now let's talk about another aspect of Ring cameras. They have mechanisms, as I was talking about earlier, that allow the user to adjust the camera angle, correct?
Correct.
And do you know whether there was a difference in the camera angle between the two cameras?
Yes, as we already discussed, there was a slight difference in the
But
angles.
you don't have a measurement of that, right, sir? I just
Correct.
Okay.
But we accounted for it.
So wouldn't a difference in models of Ring cameras be relevant at all to your analysis of trying to reconcile any differences between them?
So if you have video from both of them and you have laser scans with three-dimensional geometry of the scene, you can go in and it's called a reverse camera analysis. and solve for the distortion properties.
Let's be
The
breath.
scans give you the real world dimensions. So once you know the real world dimensions, you can then go in, you can go in and then solve for the camera lens properties based upon the real world distortions. So for example, if there's a little bit of bending at the end, the laser scan data will show that, and you can correct for that knowing information about the laser scanner.
I'll
Or
ask
the
the
laser
question.
scan data.
I'm sorry, I thought you finished, sir. I'm going to ask the question again because it's a narrow question. Wouldn't knowing
Yes,
the
it is.
difference in the models be relevant? That's all I'm asking. Wouldn't it be relevant to your analysis of reconciling the differences?
Oh,
Wouldn't
No.
it be relevant?
I love
So
that.
you think the different models are irrelevant to any process you occasioned at one? It's irrelevant.
So the analysis of the video itself is more important than the models?
I'm not asking if it's more important. I'm just asking, would it be relevant?
No, I don't believe it'd be relevant.
Now let's go to another aspect of the cameras. Are key parameters in a camera that the software needs to know focal length?
It is?
Is imaging size something that is an important parameter in a camera?
Yes.
Are sampling characteristics an important parameter in cameras?
Can be.
Is the principal point, you understand that concept, sir? Is that an important parameter in a camera?
Define how you're using principal point.
Sure. A principal point of an image is the point where a camera's direct line of sight, called, as you may know, the optical axis, intersects the image plane. Does that
Gotcha,
sound
yes.
familiar?
Mhm.
So isn't that the image's mathematical center, the principal point?
More or less, yes.
And for high accuracy photogrammetric work, it's important to know if the lens is mounted centered over the image sensor due to the small manufacturing variances, correct?
Could be important.
And if the principal point is the center of the image.
Okay.
That's relevant. So doesn't that affect the mathematical calculation of the light ray geometry?
It could.
So the variance in manufacturing between cameras is a known issue. Do you agree?
I do.
There's small manufacturing variances that affect one of the key components of the fundamental parameters of the camera, namely the principal point, right?
Correct.
Did you perform the camera calibration of the camera in place in October of 2024?
Yes. So within photogrammetry, we calibrated the photogrammetric analysis to the camera.
Did you address the principal point in that calibration? Do you have documentation that you addressed that important factor, the principal point?
So the checking of the RMS error in the software takes into account, sums up all the potential errors in the measurement, which would include that.
Okay. Sir, you know the importance of all of these topics because the output of all the work Aperture did at One Meadows, almost all of it springs from that camera, correct?
It starts there.
Okay, it starts there. And if the starting point is wrong, then where you go from the starting point is going to be at least potentially wrong, correct?
Potentially.
Would you agree that Ring cameras have a swiveling mechanism so that the user can adjust the camera angle?
Some do.
Do you know whether the camera that was in existence on January 29, 2022
Okay.
had a swiveling mechanism?
I believe it did.
Believe, do you know?
I do not know for a fact,
Do
but
you-
those style of Ring cameras on the surveillance have adjustability that includes angle.
But you don't know whether the camera that was there, the specific camera on January 29, 2022, had a swiveling mechanism or not, correct?
Correct.
And do you know whether the camera that you saw in October of 2024 had a swiveling mechanism on it?
It did.
And where did you document the fact that it had a swiveling mechanism?
I think we have photos of the camera.
Did you document it in writing, and did you document the tolerance of the swiveling mechanism?
No.
Let's go to, and again, all of the camera, this camera that you used is the starting point for your laser scan and photogrammetry process.
You're out of control, Terry.
Correct.
All right. Let's go to another topic.
Don't even know what that means.
On your direct testimony, as I recall, you stated essentially from various information that you lined up in the video, and we're talking about the lining up of the Lexus with the Traverse. And this is at One Meadows. And so, as I understand what you did, sir, is you took what are called point clouds, 3D images, created them for the Lexus. You took created 3D images, synonym point clouds of the Traverse, and then you attempted to line them up to determine, among other things, whether they would align sufficient so that the Lexus could line up and potentially hit the Traverse such that the tail light of the Lexus could be broken. Was that at least part of your analysis?
That was part. There was more.
So you showed a slide, a few slides, and with your Honor's permission, what I'd like to do is to start with slide 90.
All right, do you have any problem with Dr. Welch?
Delicious.
using his, printed copy that he was using?
I have no problem with the printed copy, Your Honor.
So, I'm sorry, what slide again?
90.
Your Honor, my printed copy tiny. Can I
Can
pull it
you
up?
see the?
Yes. Yeah.
Sir.
Does that slide that's part of your presentation depict a view from the top of the Lexus on the right and the Chevy Traverse on the left?
Correct.
And is that depicting contact between the two vehicles?
It is.
Now let's zero in a closer look, and that is a contact point. Am I correct?
Correct. I mean, there's multiple points. There's more than
Multiple
one.
points, but it shows more clearly the contact
Correct.
between the two vehicles. Now, if we could the next, and that is number 91, Mr. Wolf. So Your Honor, 91. I think these are just going to go in order for a few, and I'll keep announcing them. So this is 91, same vehicles, just a different viewpoint. Is that correct, Dr. Welcher?
Correct. This and the next slide.
I just want to stay
I know.
with this one. I just
Hold on a
asked the
second.
question, does it show the contact?
So go ahead and answer now.
This slide and all the other slides, we're trying to show the angle of contact, but because it's two-dimensional image, you're losing some perspective. For example, here you're seeing the chrome piece on Mr. O'Keefe's Chevrolet, which is on the right. You're seeing it obviously behind where the Lexus is. So we were trying to show it at a whole bunch of different angles to try and illustrate the degree of closeness or lack thereof.
Alrighty. So
Thank you.
is it correct that on your direct examination, you said in sum and substance, we looked at the degree of overlap and there's only about a 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap between the vehicles? Is that what you recall saying on direct?
That is correct.
And that you stated that supposed 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap was insufficient to cause the tail light of the Lexus to contact the rear of the Chevrolet. Do you recall saying that?
That's correct.
Now, I would like you to look at that. This is from your slide presentation. Is that not showing contact between the two vehicles?
Oh, it absolutely is not. What you're seeing is a portion of the vehicle that is behind the area. Keep in mind the angle, the Lexus is angled off to the left. So the area that you see here is actually, in this case, in front of where the taillight is. This is why we tried showing it from a whole bunch of different angles, because when you try and take a two-dimensional image and look at it, you see stuff in the background. So and again, this is why in the computer, we overlaid them, looked at the measurements, in the computer where you don't have this, we have the three-dimensional measurements, and it does not hit.
Where did you show in your slide presentation what you just said, that it doesn't show an overlap?
So
Where?
it shows a contact. It definitely contacted, I'm sorry, Mr. Reporter, down below here. It does not show a contact here. So to answer your question, all the next slides were our attempt to do that. So all the next slides is your answer.
We're going to go to those next slides. So just to be clear, you're saying that that depiction does not show any contact between the taillight of the Lexus and the Chevy Traverse.
So the upper taillight, just to be clear, because the lower taillight is much closer.
Well, it's not only much closer, it's in contact, isn't it, sir?
It's very close. It's probably within an inch of being in contact.
Oh, so you state that even the lower part of the taillight is not making contact?
So if, again, maybe there's a photo we could show or a scan that is on the rear of the vehicle, and it contacts on the corner, which is just around. So maybe like an inch or so in front of it on the corner.
I'm just going with what you presented in your slide
Well, let's
presentation.
go to the next slides and then
Sir,
maybe
I
we'll see
will
it.
determine which slides we go to on my question.
I'm just hoping
So
to
now
answer your
let's
question.
go to, Mr. Wolf, the next slide
There we go.
in your presentation. My question is zeroing in. Are you saying that that slide does not show contact between the tail light of Ms. Reed's Lexus and any part of the Chevy Traverse?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what it shows. You can see a little better here. Again, we tried all these different angles, which is why all these slides are in there. But you can see some of the geometry of the light. This structure, and again, remember I said the Chevy kind of curves in as it goes up a little bit.
Let's go to the next slide. 40, yes, please.
Maybe Cindy. Also, hi, Cindy. I don't know if I've said hi to you yet.
Is it working? 41, Your Honor.
That's exhibit 41? No, I have a question because that's not my slides.
Yep.
So, Mr. Alessi, is this exhibit number 41 or is this from the PowerPoint? Because,
Slide 41. Slide.
okay.
Yes.
So I'm putting this up because I want to show an actual photograph of that tail light. And I would like you, sir, to focus on the quarter panel tail light in each. Do you see a jutting out of the quarter panel tail light in that photo? You see it jut out?
So I don't know if you and I are talking the same thing. There are little fins here.
Correct. Now, what I'd like to do is to go back to the depiction we were just looking at. And that depiction doesn't show the jutting out, does it?
No, it does. Those are actually more on the side of the vehicle. You can't see them in this image.
Correct. You
But-
can't see that.
Hold on a second. I wasn't finished. But
Sir.
they are 100% there. we actually did special hand scans with a hand scanner of the taillight to put it back on to the vehicle.
You say they're 100% there, but you can't see it in that depiction, can you? The jutting out that you could see in the two-dimensional one we just saw. You can't see it.
I can't see who's behind that wall because it's being blocked by something. I can't see on the side of the taillight because it's on the side I can't see. It's being blocked.
Sir, my question is simple. You cannot see the jutting out of the taillight in this depiction, can you?
Correct.
Okay, now let's go on to the next question in this topic. You could have easily solved what you consider to be the issues you had with trying to show it lining up, couldn't you, sir? You had an easy solution for that.
I took the best solution. I'm not sure what you're referring to.
You had 3D images, correct?
I did.
You could have shown and measured 3D images to get almost the exact contact point and almost the exact dimensions if you had just used the 3D images that you had available to you. Isn't that correct?
That's exactly what we did. When I went through the video analysis, I showed you how we overlaid the point clouds, the 3D scans on top of each vehicle. So we took the, we took
Sir,
the vehicles.
please don't interrupt.
Hold on.
Your
Hold
Honor,
on.
he keeps referencing my hand and saying I'm doing something when I'm not. And I think that's distracting to the jury.
So-
I'm not interrupting
Hold
him.
on, hold on. Let the
Oh, boy.
witness answer the
I
question.
am. I'm just holding my hand like this, Your Honor. He keeps saying that I'm doing
Mr.
something.
Leslie, please.
All right.
Go ahead, finish the answer, Dr. Welch.
Again, in the photogrammetric analysis, I showed the video. I showed how we overlaid the point cloud on top of the video. That proves that the way we solved it, correct camera characteristics, matches. Otherwise, that would be distorted. We overlaid the scans of the Lexus into the photogrammetric analysis. We overlaid the scans of the scene into the photogrammetric analysis. We overlaid all that stuff into the analysis. We did exactly what you're suggesting.
You could have easily addressed this issue by the following. If you really believe there was no contact or not sufficient contact, you could have produced a graphic that shows a gap between the two vehicles. A graphic, couldn't you? That's not a graphic.
What is that?
Sir, I get to ask the questions and you are to answer them subject to the judge's ruling. So my question is, couldn't you have created a graphic that
That's-
would have better shown the issue that you are creating or talking about today? That's my question. Couldn't you have created a graphic?
We did. We created a whole bunch of graphics.
You called what we just saw a graphic?
Yes.
I mean, I
Well, if
would.
there's a gap, why isn't there then something that shows a clear gap?
Because when you have the angulation of the vehicles, you have perspective. When you're looking at it, even if you do a top down, you see everything projected onto a single flat plane. So you can't tell the height of things. So when you see things in this dimension, you can't necessarily see depth of things. So you lose in two-dimensional images, you lose one dimension depending on which way you're looking. That's why I showed it from all these different angles to try and show exactly what you're saying. We had graphics to do that.
3D images allow you to show perspectives for 360 degrees, correct? Is that correct?
That is correct.
So none of what you presented in your slideshow shows the contact points from 360 degrees, does it?
I don't understand your question. Are you asking if I showed it at every single, I went through 360 slides that showed it at every single degree?
Sir, let's move on. I think I've made the point.
So I'm going to strike the comment,
Okay.
Mr. Leslie.
Dr. Welcher, let's go to the next topic. And keep with these two depictions. Are these two images point clouds or 3D images? Are these two?
Those are one and the same thing. They're yes.
I would use them as synonym. Which term of the two do you want to use? Point cloud or 3D images?
Both are fine. It's a 3D image composed of points, which
Okay, so let's just call them 3D images so we
Okay.
can do this more quickly. The Lexus and the Chevy Traverse that are depicted there are both 3D images of those vehicles, correct?
correct.
And Aperture created the 3D images, correct?
Correct.
Sir, did you do these scans and did you personally create these images?
No, one of the assistants at Aperture did.
So you're speaking about what somebody else did at Aperture, correct?
They were doing it at my direction. And for example, the Lexus scan, I showed the photographs. You can see the gentleman that works at Aperture, Mike Morelli, was scanning them for me while I was doing the rest of the inspection. And then the hand scanning of the rear tail light was done by another engineer. I was out there with him doing it, taking measurements. And then same thing with the Chevy Traverse.
My question is, you didn't do the creation of these 3D images, did you?
The individual images, no.
All right, so let's go to these individual images. These are 3D images. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Let's look at the tail light.
Okay.
That's not a 3D image. That's a Photoshop, isn't it?
Nope.
Oh, so it's your testimony that that tail light is a 3D image.
That absolutely is a 3D image. The way you can tell is when you get up near the chrome, because lasers don't like shiny objects, you start to get a scatter. So see all these dots here? If that was a photo, you wouldn't have these dots.
Let's go to the Chevy Traverse. Let's, Mr. Woke, zero in on the content. Yeah. There's grain on that tail light, in the tail light. That's a 3D image of a tail light, isn't it, sir?
They're both 3D images.
Well, I just want to stay with one. That tail light is a 3D image, and one of the ways you can tell is because it's got all that grainy material on it, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go back, Mr. Woke, to the Lexus. Let's now go to the bumper.
But do you want me to explain the
Oh,
difference?
no,
Okay.
thank you. I would like to go to the bumper. Do you see any the predominance of any grainy image on the bumper?
There's a little bit. So for example, when you get near edges, it has a hard time with edges.
I'm
So
sorry,
you-
the bumper cover.
Right.
See the bumper cover up above?
This whole thing is the bumper cover. That's the step pad. That's the rear body panel or the rear deck lid.
I'm talking about the step pad, sir. Just the step pad of the bumper?
Are you asking about just from here to here?
Correct. The bumper step
Can we
pad.
zoom in on it?
Pardon me?
Can we zoom in on it?
Sure. Do you see any?
Yeah, I see graininess.
Let's go over to.
Right in here. You can see it all through here. You see it through here.
Well, I'm talking about the step pad, not the entire bumper. I'm just talking about the step pad.
Right. So you're zooming in on the bumper.
Right.
The step pad is this structure up here.
We're going to move up. It just takes a while. So your testimony is that is a
Can you zoom in more?
that's you would like it zoomed in?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
This guy
Your
is the
testimony
worst.
is that is a 3D image, not a Photoshop step bumper cover. Is that correct?
So we have mapped the color over the 3D scans. We used two separate scanners. If you recall, when I got out to Miss Reed's vehicle, that taillight was gone. So we had to replace the taillight.
Talking about the bumper cover, not the tail light.
Okay, I'm explaining the process.
I'm just asking about the bumper cover, not the process.
So focus your answer on the bumper.
How about
That-
yes
that
or
is a
how about
laser
you yell at
scan.
him, Beth, for yes and no answers?
Okay, so your
That's a 3D
testimony
model.
is the step part of the bumper cover is a 3D image from a laser scan, and it's not a Photoshop. That's your testimony.
Absolutely.
And you didn't perform the work for the 3D that you claim the bumper step up is, you didn't do that work to produce that depiction, did you, sir? Somebody else in your firm did it.
So this is all done at my direction. The engineers that work for me, so I'm telling them what to do. I'm not the one punching the keys.
That's
I'm
my
saying,
question.
I need you to do this, 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 and this. Use the hand scanner, go scan the light. I need to put this back in because it was missing when we got to it. So no, I'm not punching the keys.
Okay, so
Okay. Come on over, please.
No. I just don't understand why she doesn't tell him to use yes and no answers. Instead of letting him just go on and on and on constantly. I wonder how the jury feels when, or what the reaction was when Alessi got a little spicy earlier. I've never seen him be that, like that before. Oh, he's the boss. Yeah. I mean, again, this guy has 400,000 reasons to explain everything away. So I guess that's where their money is. I don't know. Yeah, we've literally watched her do it didn't she do it with Burgess? I'm pretty sure that was one of the people that she yelled at. Pretty sure the other one was Jen McCabe. Like, I don't understand why she's not doing that. And then just being like, yeah, it's fine. Just let him finish. Ugh. The jury has to be super annoyed. I think some of them have to be. I'd be infuriated right now. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure where Alessi is going with this 3D imaging bumper thing. I'm not really following that very well. And I think it's because Alessi's worked up and Welcher is worked up. And it's just distracting from whatever point he's trying to make. So that's unfortunate. I'm sure that it's probably going to come to a good conclusion with that. But as of right now, I don't really know where he's going with that. He is doing what he's paid to do, that's for sure. Well, and you would think Brennan would be like, yo, gonna need you to just answer this. The jury looks annoyed.
with regard to, no, we don't need to back up, Mr. Wolf. Isn't it correct that 3D images allow for proper and most accurate measurements as opposed to 2D images? Is that a correct general statement?
I mean, generally, yeah.
Okay, that's my question. So let's go to the next topic. Let's talk about hydraulics on the Lexus SUV.
Oh, here's what y'all were talking about yesterday.
What type of hydraulic system does the Lexus SUV have?
So it has a mechanism, I believe it's actually pneumatic, it's air-based system that raises it up and down.
Do you know what the name of that system is, sir?
No, not off the top of my head.
Do you know how it works
I do.
specifically?
Well, I mean, I know generally that there's a button on the interior where you can raise and lower the ride height.
And is that the extent of your knowledge of that system on the Lexus?
No, again, I know when you park it, it'll drop down the ride height. When you adjust it for different roadway conditions, it'll change the ride height.
Do you know what the height tolerances are? In other words, the lowest to the highest?
I believe it's around 1.25 inches. At one point in time, I measured it. I don't remember off the top of my head.
So you believe it's 1.25 inches up and 1.25 inches down? How do you apply the 1.25 inches?
I recall the total being like 1.25 inches, but I measured it at one point in time. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Would you be surprised to hear that the tolerance is 5 inches on that vehicle?
I would be surprised. I don't recall it being that much, but I would need to double check.
Assume that the manual as well as other informations support that the tolerance is 5 inches and that specifically the vehicle can be raised 3 inches high and it can be lowered 2 inches. That's the basis for the 5. What was the suspension height of Miss Reed's Lexus that you used for your accident reconstruction analysis out front at 34 Fairview between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. on January 29, 2022, to determine whether it was possible for the spoiler on the back of the Lexus to make contact with the eye of Mr. O'Keefe? If it was even possible, what did you use for a
Good
measurement
question.
We
of the suspension?
matched the measurements from when the vehicle was tested, I believe on February 1st at the Canton Police Department.
What match did you make?
So we aligned the bottom of the taillight, actually the sheet metal right below the taillight. So we adjusted the height of the Lexus to match that.
Did you in any place document what level the Lexus was at the time of any testing, meaning the suspension? Did you document at all?
Yes.
Where?
Agreed.
Slide 107.
Can we have slide 107, Mr. Wolf?
It's a blah day here too.
And then if you could zoom in on the lower photograph, the gentleman with the blue shirt,
Maybe.
zoom in a little more, please. So if I may, we matched the bottom of the sheet metal here to photographs when it was at the Canton Police Department.
But couldn't they
So
have
my
lowered it
question is, where did you document
when they towed it?
whether the suspension was at 0, whether it was +3 or -2? Where did you document that?
Right here.
And what are the numbers of the documentation of that?
I don't know. We were matching the photos. So I don't care what the numbers are. I care that the height is the same.
Okay, so I just heard you say, if I heard correctly, you don't care what the suspension is at. Is that your testimony?
No, I don't care what the suspension number is as long as the heights match.
I understand. I understand. So what was the suspension height of Miss Reed's Lexus at 5:07 a.m. on January 29th, 2022, while at One Meadows and colliding with the Chevy Traverse? What was the suspension height then?
We assumed it was the same as when it was at the Canton Police Department.
Exactly. You assumed, but there's no measurement like was just on that depiction. There was no note that said, okay, we're doing this very important and inches sensitive measurements to see whether the tail light on the Lexus makes contact with the Traverse, but there's no measurement and no documentation of what the suspension height was at One Meadows, correct?
So we took the closest measurement in time to the One Meadows event, which is when it was at the Canton Police Department. That was the best information we had.
Well, that information isn't very good because the vehicle had to go from Canton to One Meadows. And when the vehicle drives, the way the suspension system works, it's automatic. When you go above 20 miles an hour, the suspension comes up. And when you turn off the vehicle, it goes down so you can get out easier. So it would be improper to assume that the suspension at One Meadows would be the same at another location.
That's the only, sorry,
Was there objection?
Yeah.
Go ahead and answer, please.
that's the extent of the information we had. We had it when it was at the Canton Police Department.
That's-
We matched that height.
Sorry, sir. I understand.
But actually, you brought up a good point. It's going so slow when it's backing up that it wouldn't raise up. So
Except
the
she's going
static
24 miles
position
an
when it's
hour.
backing up would
Apparently.
be the static position.
But it wouldn't be going in backup from the Canton Police Department to One Meadows. It wouldn't be going back up when it's going in other locations, sir, right? It would be driving forward. It had to get from point A to point B.
Right, but as you pointed out, when you turn it off, it drops down, and then you turn it on, and then once you go above 20, as you indicated, it goes up. But when she's backing up, she never goes more than a couple miles an hour. So it's going to be at the same position as when you start, which is approximately the same position when it's off at the Canton Police Department a couple days later.
Do you know whether the suspension system locks when there is testing of the infotainment system?
Whether the suspensions, I don't know.
Okay, let's go on to the next topic. You're aware of the vehicle control, excuse me, Your Honor.
I'm getting angry.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to go, I'm changing topics to go back now to Fairview, 34 Fairview. You don't know what the suspension ride height at 34 Fairview was on January 29th of 2022, do you?
Correct.
So therefore, if you don't know what the suspension height was, because of course you weren't there on January 29, 2022. Therefore there's no measuring stick, as you say, you assert that you would have accounted for it in your methodology. So you don't have the suspension height for that key day, do you, sir?
I only have it 2 days later.
All right. So when you talk about key measurements, such as the spoiler on the top of the Lexus and the inches that are important as to whether things such as, is there a contact with the front eye, you don't have some data that would be relevant to that calculation, the sum data being the suspension height of the Lexus at that time, do you?
So we have some data. We have photos of the vehicle 2 days later. We don't know the exact height outside because, as you alluded to, we don't have a measurement on January 29th of it, but we do have it 2 days later. That's the source of the measurement.
You don't have the suspension height or the setting of the suspension of the Lexus that existed on January 29th, 2022, do you?
Correct.
Now let's go on to another topic.
I'm angrily eating my gummy bears.
Within the 34 Fairview on January 29th of 2022, I'm not going to go over them, but you asserted various measurements, height, width, with regard to the Lexus, correct? It wasn't just for the spoiler at the top, correct?
Correct.
And for all those other measurements that you talked about, you did not have the suspension height and the suspension setting of the hydraulic system of the Lexus on January 29th, 2022, did you?
So the hydraulic's only going to affect the vertical dimensions. It doesn't change anything left to right. It doesn't change anything down the side of the car.
Understood. But for the measurements that are affected by vertical, you didn't have the suspension height of the Lexus system on January 29th, 2022.
Again, I only know what it is 2 days later.
So now let's go on to vehicle control history. Sir, you understand what I mean by vehicle control history of
This is
VCH?
text stream information.
Are you aware of what is called the Bosch crash data retrieval system in Lexus vehicles?
Of course, we showed it on my slides.
And the Bosch crash data retrieval system in Lexus vehicles is sometimes referred to as the black box.
No, you're mixing up two things. So the Bosch is like the tools.
It's a question, sir.
So you answer that with a yes or no?
Is the Bosch crash data retrieval system the black box on Lexus vehicles? I just wanted to repeat it so we can.
I didn't hear what the objection. You objected?
I'd like him to be able to finish his answers.
Yeah. So the question was just asked. Can you answer that question?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, next question, Mr. Winston.
I'm going to ask the question, sir. The Bosch crash data retrieval system in Lexus vehicles, you're familiar with that? Are you familiar with it?
There is no such thing in the Lexus.
A Lexus does not have a Bosch crash data retrieval system?
No.
Have you read the report of Trooper Paul,
Yes.
the May 2023? Does that report not use the exact words posh? Let me ask this. Do you recall?
Sustained. The
Okay.
objection sustained.
Let's go to the VCH system in Lexuses. Is the VCH system intended by Lexus as a diagnostic tool for their technicians, Lexus technicians, to assist in vehicle repair and maintenance? Is that what that is created for?
That's their stated purpose.
Right. And is a synonym for VCH TechStream?
Sort of. TechStream, similar, like Bosch is the hardware and software to access the black box data. TechStream is the software to access, for example, the pre-collision system, the PCS system, and the VCH, which is the vehicle control history. So TechStream which does a lot of other stuff, but does access that information.
You just mentioned Bosch, didn't you, sir?
So Bosch is not in the Lexus. You use Bosch stuff sold by Bosch, Bosch software and hardware, and you walk up to the Lexus with all the Bosch stuff and plug it in and download the event data recorder, the EDR, the black box. That was my problem. There is no
Understood.
Bosch stuff in the Lexus.
I understand, sir. That was going to be the question that I was trying to get to, but you've explained it, so I don't have to answer the question. Let's go to the VCH database that you say the stated purpose is to assist technicians at Lexus in vehicle repair and maintenance.
So I didn't say that was a stated purpose. I'm saying that's what Lexus or Toyota says is a stated purpose. It's being used in litigation all the time. All I know is that's what Lexus and Toyota says. But again, it came about right when we started seeing all the sudden accelerations in the Toyota vehicles.
So my question is the VCH database specific to Toyota and Lexus vehicles?
So it's not a database, it's software.
Is the software specific to Lexus and Toyota? The VCH?
Those particular acronyms are, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Want to move to another topic, and we are almost finished. We have just 2 more topics, sir.
Oh, fantastic, he says. Fantastic.
How common were VCH events when Miss Reed owned the Lexus?
In 2022,
Do you know the ownership period of Miss Reed with respect to the Lexus? Do you know how long she owned it?
I have that documentation. I don't know off the top of my head.
Do you have an approximate?
No, I mean, it was a 2021 vehicle. Our accident's January 29, 2022. But I did get that information.
Do you know how many VCH events were associated with the Lexus of Miss Reed?
I did not count them, no. I have them all.
Do you
I was
have-
only focused on the ones around our time period.
Exactly. But do you have the number of events? Do you know how many there were?
I could get it for you.
How long would it take, sir?
3 minutes?
Why don't we come back to it
Okay.
and we'll see if it's.
How about I start this so that we don't have to wait for it to boot up? And then when we come back to it, it's ready to go. You
As
okay
long
with
as
that?
that's all you're looking at, sir.
Yep.
What?
And then pick your head up, please,
Nice
so I
guy.
can finish these 2
Please,
topics.
go ahead.
So how often were VCH events recorded on the Lexus before January 29th of 2022?
Man, I have to pull this data up.
Fair enough, fair
to
enough.
answer that
I
question.
assume that's going to be in what you're also pulling up.
That's the goal here.
Would the number be about 15, 1-5? Does that sound right to you?
Let's see, 1, 2.
Exactly, Joe. Good morning. This guy indeed. I'm so bad and annoyed right now.
There's 18.
18. So there were your records show that there were 18 VCH events recorded on Miss Reed's Lexus, correct?
Before the subject one.
Right. Did you conclude that any of those events, other than the 1162-2, were a collision?
No.
Now let's go to reverse recorded events. Can you tell how many of those 18 events were reverse recorded events? And you know what I mean by reverse recorded events?
Yes.
The vehicle going in reverse.
Right.
How many of those events were the vehicle going in reverse?
And this is before.
4. Other than
He asked
No, no,
you,
I
is
said
this
before.
before?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, I would have to pull up the PCS file.
Could you start that and I can continue on with the questioning?
I got to, so the PCS file is I have a second laptop that
Here's
has
what I'm going to
texturing.
do. That's not important for me to keep going and get through it.
Okay.
So let's just stay on the events, okay? Only one of all of those events, those 18, are you concluding that there was a collision associated with them, correct? Just one.
No, all those 18 are before. The collision is number 19.
No, I'm saying, I understand what you're saying, but for all the other events that are recorded, you're not, other than the January 29, 1162-2, you're not concluding that any of those were collisions, correct?
I didn't look at them. They were so far mileage away from everything.
But you're not concluding, even though they were so far away and you didn't look at them, you don't conclude from the information you have that any of them were a collision, correct?
Sustained.
Let's go to 5:07 a.m. on January 29th, 2022 at One Meadows, the home of Mr. O'Keefe.
Okay.
There was a collision between Miss Reed's 6,000-pound Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe's approximately 4,500 Chevy Traverse. That's undisputed, correct? They collided, they made contact.
They touched.
Right. But the actual collision at One Meadows did not register the recording of an event on the Lexus VCH system, did it?
Correct. It's too minor.
So, however, you want this jury, sir, to conclude that the glancing blow that you contend occurred at 34 Fairview Road by the same 6,000-pound Lexus in contact with a mere 216-pound man did register an event on the Lexus, correct?
No, the impact didn't register the event. As I pointed out, the trigger was from when the accelerator pedal went to 30%. The tech stream does not register crashes at all. It registers excessive acceleration, excessive steering, excessive braking, things like that, things that would be part of the maintenance system. So the tech stream will never register an event, even if you hit a wall at 100 miles an hour necessarily. I mean, it'll cause fault codes and things like that, but that's not what it does. The trigger here was transitioning into reverse and then gunning the accelerator pedal in reverse. And so when it went from 30 up to 74% throttle, once it went over 30 in that transition, that's what triggered the text stream. It had nothing to do with, and that's why I'm telling you, I don't know when in that event the impact occurred, because the text stream doesn't tell you that.
Thank you. That
You're
is
welcome.
Exactly my point. The text stream information doesn't tell you when a collision occurs, does it?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have at this time, Your Honor.
All right, why don't we take our morning recess, James?
Okay, you guys, I hurried back as quickly as I can. I see we're on a break. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I thought, oh, I could go to the bathroom and stuff. I did not have the time, apparently. Okay. Oh, look who's here. Hello. Good morning, Terry True Crime. For some reason, they're picking up words, but I don't hear anything coming from the cord. I'm melted.
I don't know.
Boom is what Alessi did today. Is
He did.
boom. I'm making out with the only.
I know. We need a mic drop.
I agree. Hi, Ed. Hi, Ed. Welcome. Yeah. So I am very annoyed and very upset with Bev for
Mhm.
not making him answer yes or no to questions and just letting him go on doing what he's doing. Ridiculous. But Alessi brought up a very good point with the suspension
Mhm.
because that just destroyed his entire experiment. So in case you guys missed it, the Lexus has hydraulics, so it will lower and raise higher depending on what happens. And if the car is going more than 20 miles an hour, it raises up, I think, 3 inches, right? And this guy, all he did was run into the car with his arm.
Right.
And she allegedly was going 24 miles an hour in reverse when she hit John. Unbelievable. I'm so
He-
mad.
Basically discredit everything he says he did.
Yeah. Yes,
I mean-
exactly that. I'm so
Bev
annoyed.
needs to get a hold of her courtroom. She really does. And she's not judging very well.
She's not judging very well. And you know what I'm really pissed off about is that this guy who has said, I don't know where John was, I don't know where the car was, I didn't think about suspension, I didn't do this. You are talking, you're here as an expert being paid a buttload of money with somebody's life in your hands. And you are sitting there so confidently and arrogantly. It blows my mind. It really does. I'm very annoyed about it. Anyway, go ahead. What do you have to say? I'm sorry.
I know. He just, first of all, yes or no answers is what you're being asked.
Mhm.
And he can't even follow the attorney's instructions.
Mm.
And I can't believe that. I'm sorry. I find it disrespectful to the attorney, to the judge, to the jurors that are having to sit there and listen to him, because that is not, it shouldn't be this painful.
It shouldn't be this painful. And how about Alessi's question? By the way, did they just send the jury out on a break? Is
I
that what
think
happened?
so.
are we just having a little short break here? Okay.
Yeah, but they
Sorry, I was
keep
like,
having closed caption words pop up every now and then.
yeah, that's weird because there's no audio for it right now. But at the end of his questioning with him before this break, he brought up the point I have been wanting to know is, did the car pick up in the 507 with Karen hitting John's car? And he said it wasn't enough of an impact to register, which,
Well, but
okay.
he then tried to say that it doesn't register impact. It registers acceleration of speed.
Mm.
But if it doesn't register impact, how does it know if you need to have airbags deploy? Because airbags don't deploy based on acceleration, they deploy based on impact. Or am I wrong?
I mean, that's how I would think it'd work, but I don't even know. I don't even
I mean,
know.
I know my Audi records impact. It also records acceleration, excessive acceleration, but it records impact.
Okay, yeah, Dave agrees based on impact. Yeah, I don't. Oh, this guy. I'm
How
so
is
mad.
Brennan going to clean this up?
It's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, what he's going to do is probably ask a lot of fast questions, and this guy's just going to simply answer them like we watched in the voir dire yesterday. This guy.
Okay, Buffy Bot says impact at certain speeds, though. But you would think if they're telling us the speed was enough to injure a guy and lead to death, that's not a big enough impact.
Right. That's what I think that was the point he was trying to get across here, is like, how is that not enough then to register? Like,
It's not like he hit a paper bag or a snowflake.
no. Oh, we got some audio. But just
Do you think
white noise there.
Bev's going to in court early today if Brennan wraps up pretty quick?
Well, so jury is going to be leaving early today. They're going to be leaving by, she said, no later than 1:30 because the juror
But do you
has
think
a
she'll let
doctor's
them
appointment.
go earlier?
I think we could still have more court today outside of the jury's presence,
Right.
where they're arguing other things. So we'll see, because I'm sure there are some motions they filed that need to be argued. So I'm not entirely sure.
Carol, it's not the TV's fault. Please do not hurt the poor little TV. Don't hurt the TV.
That's true. Airbags don't deploy until it's a certain speed most of the time.
But
I just,
I don't know.
I mean, here we got just another witness that I can't find credible in the slightest. Like, he was already on my shit list, but then with the suspension, it literally throws all of his BS experiments out the window, because you're not factoring in something that is a huge difference when you're saying, oh, the spoiler in the back, that's where that injury came from. One, I don't even know how it would be at normal height, but then to be even higher, really?
So I just looked up. Airbags typically deploy in a car crash when the impact is between 10 and 16 miles per hour at a rigid barrier. So they can deploy anywhere between 10 and 16 miles per hour if they hit something, is how I read that.
Interesting. Pilola's mom says Brennan filed Wednesday a motion regarding, I think that's Shannon Burgess, that has to be addressed. Yeah, because he sent a motion in whining and complaining about the defense bringing his CVs and them not knowing about it or something along those lines. Like, what?
I'm sorry, you're an expert witness. You are open to getting a colonoscopy on your skills. Yeah, see, Dave.
I mean, I would just be so livid if I was Karen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm livid for her. This is just, and it's appalling that they spent this much money on these guys from Aperture. And there's so many things that they don't even know. And here he is just confidently sitting there like, yeah,
He's arrogant.
yeah, trial by
arrogant.
ambush. If a car could fly, a car could hit you in the eye. That's right.
It's true.
Space Lexus driver. Did you guys see that? I added that in my little banner on the bottom. Oh, Bell says, I promise you they do not deploy on a car hitting a cow at 55 miles an hour. That's true. Bell has hit cow.
Okay, then you need to get your airbags checked because I had it deployed just by hitting a trash can that was full of stuff.
Oh, wow. Really?
And I was going like 40.
Wow.
Because the
I don't know,
cow
maybe
was
it's like if
out.
you hit the right spot or something. I'm not sure.
But if your car beeps telling you that you're about to hit something, how can they say it wouldn't record when you do hit someone?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because Lexus does that whole thing and it tells you. So how could it not record that you actually made contact with something?
It's a very good question.
Maybe a car person can tell us.
Right? That keyword was. That's true. Right, and they didn't say it beeped, which is also interesting.
Well, I don't think it would record every time it beeps on that box, because if it records every time you beep, you would have hundreds of thousands of little messages,
mean,
wouldn't you?
I would think, and I would just assume that that's what we have going on here. I mean, listen, every piece of technology wants to collect all the data it can. So why wouldn't there be? I don't know. Oh, they never brought it up, the beeping or the alerts, if you will. Maybe Alessi's gonna bring that up. Was it a glancing hit? Like you just clipped the cow, or
So I Googled it. A 2022 Lexus does not record every time the car beeps when getting close to something. The beeps are associated with safety warnings, not a recording function.
Hmm.
So it's
I feel
two
like they
different
should,
systems.
though.
I feel like it should too.
Hi, good morning.
Right.
Court has been wild this morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a miss.
You'll have to go watch my show.
I guess.
I'm just kidding.
Who does he think he is? Does he think he gets an inside shortcut?
I think so.
Oh,
Did the cow do a pirouette?
they still have the one guy on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Alessi has been very worked up this morning. How about Alessi kind of losing his shit on the witness in front of the
Oh,
court?
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got very spicy.
What have I missing? What?
Yeah.
You lost it?
Lola's mom says, "Good morning, male voice." That's elbow feet.
Who said that?
Lola's mom.
Oh.
Good morning.
Good morning, somebody's mom.
Oh my
Tell him if he
goodness.
wants to know, he needs to watch.
I know. How dare he? Sleeping in on his last day of vacation. Rude. Nothing. I'm just kidding.
You call me rude now, too?
Yeah.
Are they calling me rude or just you?
Just me.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
me. Nobody.
They love me.
That's
see, look at-
subjective.
Everyone
Tell him
said
that's
good morning.
subjective.
See? Morning, leg. Shunka. Good morning, Bells.
All right.
All right, I gotta go. I'm embarrassing her now.
You're not embarrassing me.
I'm
embarrassing. Okay. I swear, as soon as he wakes up in the morning, it's just like this all day.
He's extra.
All right.
He is.
I'll go lock myself in the room now.
Oh, it's funny. Okay. Anyway, what were we talking about? Hey, tonight, why don't we plug your show for tonight, Terry? Why don't you tell the viewers what you got going on tonight?
Right as I put the last
Why?
bite of my chocolate croissant in my mouth.
I'm the worst. I know. I'm the worst.
No, tonight, me and Captain will be on True Crime and Wine Time. We are covering the serial killer dentist.
Mm.
And for those of you that do not like dentists, you're going to dislike them even more.
Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely.
I thought about wearing scrubs tonight for the show because I still have some scrubs from back in my vet days. And I was like, yeah, no, because that'll just make it even more realistic.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
excited. So if you
Mhm.
haven't seen Cap'n, I mean, she was over on the Zizians and she's a riot
She is. She's
and it's
fantastic.
going to be a fun time.
I'm really excited because I don't know anything at all about this case. So I'm very intrigued by it. That's for sure. But yeah, that's at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, right here on the True Crime and Wine Time channel.
I don't want no scrubs. Oh,
Oh, that's
Dr.
great.
Death would be good to do. Yeah, that doctor. Oh man, that would have to be a long episode or break it up into two because it's a thing.
We had a
It's a
guy
thing.
here at one of the hospitals that was very similar to the Dr. Death
actually-
situation.
Had a procedure at that hospital during the
Mhm.
time he was there, but he was not my doctor, obviously, because I'm still alive.
Yeah, the doctor we had here that did it, Jose Baez from the Casey Anthony trial, her lawyer, came up here to represent that doctor here, like 2 years ago, I think it was. I
Oh.
forget the guy's name. Just Google shithead doctor, Columbus, Ohio. I forget what his name is, but yeah, Baez came up and did his trial. I don't remember what happened.
I mean, I think the one that freaks me out the most about doctors, he was dating, she was a reporter or worked for high up in the news industry somewhere. And she met him when she interviewed the surgeon that was like world renowned that was doing some kind of thing on kids for their tracheas. Basically, he was replacing their tracheas with plastic. They basically suffocated to death.
Okay, cool.
And
My
he
medical
lied
phobia
all
is
this
just-
stuff. If you haven't seen that one, I mean, he even lied. He was married, but he was engaged to this person, told her that the Clintons were going to be at their wedding and stuff. I mean, he was a real piece of work.
Wow. Cool. Cool.
I
That's
love that
wild.
Shunka's Googling shithead doctor from Ohio.
I'm sure you'll get a long list. I forget what the gentleman's name is. I don't remember. I don't know why I called him a gentleman. He doesn't really seem like one. I don't think Steve Williams is that guy's name. Maybe. I don't know.
Paulo Mascherani was the surgeon, and he was sentenced to 30 years.
Wow. People are crazy. People are crazy.
I mean, especially for doctors, dentists, and things, you take an oath to do no harm. And
That's
they
true.
intentionally did harm. I think that there should be a
that's
psychological exam.
The throat guy.
The throat
Okay,
guy,
that's,
yeah.
that's the
Paulo.
Williams guy. Okay.
No,
Oh, the
Paulo.
guy you just said. Okay.
Yeah, Paulo.
Oh, I hate all of it. I hate all of it.
I wish we could find their trials, but I think they like plead it out.
Wild.
Have you ever been putting mascara on and accidentally stick it in your eye and then it bothers you the rest of the day?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was me yesterday morning. I kept being like, why? What keeps
Yeah.
happening?
I shouldn't use the hand that's numb to put on mascara, but I tried. But I really, how I'm trying to think of how they're going to try to clean up this witness. Brennan, I mean, I don't know
Did
how
you
he cleans it
hear?
up.
Did you hear the voir dire argument this morning? I can't remember when you came in,
No,
where
I
Brennan
didn't
like
log on.
challenged the
30
defense to
minutes.
call Trooper Paul in. They were like,
No.
well, by the way, since you were late and some others were this morning, yesterday after court, they had a voir dire with Welchure arguing, could they he used Dr. Paul's, or
Right.
Trooper Paul's stuff and the medical examiner stuff. Bev said no to all of that. Defense did not win that argument. But Brennan's argument was like, well, if they want to bring in Trooper Paul stuff, then they can just call
Right.
Trooper Paul then. Like,
Yeah, I remember
okay,
that.
buddy. Okay.
So they did
I
another one
saw
this morning. I agree, Captain. We were not late. Court was early.
I agree. They should be. And I hope your recovery is going
I
well.
hope so too,
Joe.
Joe. And doctors should be held to the highest of standards. Agree.
I agree. I'm not late. Court is early. That's true.
So what did they voir dire this morning?
Well, they gave their continued arguments for yesterday,
that.
and then Bev gave her decision about that.
What was
which
her
I
decision?
No, they can't question him about Trooper Paul's stuff and or the medical examiner's stuff. And I don't really understand because he clearly used them, but
How can they not? I mean, I could see keeping it to that scope of what he provided to them. But if you used his data and his information and his reports to do your stuff, why can't you be questioned?
I agree. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there might be some legal basis. I don't know with Bev, who knows? I didn't quite understand it, but
Trooper Paul is on the witness. I mean, Proctor's on the witness list, right?
him and Trooper Paul are.
And Paul, so
Actually-
defense can call them.
Actually, I think Trooper Paul is on just the defense.
I'd have to go look.
Oh, no, he's on.
Shanka, I'm meeting my new neurologist today. I might have to ask him if he ever worked with Dr. Debs.
I don't even see Trooper Paul on the witness list at all for anybody. That's interesting. Proctor, Prince. No, I'm not seeing Trooper Paul on the. Right, because Joseph Paul's his name. Interesting. I hope they do call him anyway. I don't know. Oh, that's.
I mean,
a good
I just
one.
want Proctor, if I'm honest.
Oh, I think they're going to call him. I mean, I would love for them to call Trooper Paul too. I want to see that guy again.
Trooper
Okay,
Joseph
maybe.
Paul's on the witness list for trial.
Okay. I don't know. I don't see it on the one I'm looking at, but I know you have different copies because
used
you've
the
been putting
ones
that all together.
That Polly sent me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm all about it. Right? So it's interesting to me that she is not getting down on Dr. Welchure and being like, you need to answer this, this, and this. And I wonder why that is.
So is she Woman of the Year because maybe she does something outside of the courtroom? I know it was hosted by the Bar Association, right? Because I'm like,
the county, yeah.
okay, but maybe she does a lot of philanthropy. I can't even talk today. Maybe she does a lot of volunteering of her time. Maybe she's adopted 50 kids. Maybe she was Woman of the Year for something besides being a judge. Maybe.
I don't think so.
See, I always
like
try to
how you're
give the
trying
benefit
to-
of the doubt. I always
Right? I
try.
like how you're trying to do that, but I don't think that's the case.
I love Belle says, yeah, sure, Terry.
Oh, Lady in Gray. Lady in Gray brings up a great point that I think Higgins is more important than Proctor now because he can put the Jeep there in front of the house. Because that's another problem with Dr.
Mhm.
Welcher and his whole thing is he didn't factor in
And
any other cars being parked on in front of the house. And we do know that Brian Higgins' Jeep was parked in front of the mailbox. And it's the mysterious Jeep. Some people talk about it, some people don't. But when we watched Higgins, I feel like he said that from trial 1.
Mhm.
And I hope they bring Higgins too, but I don't know if they're going to. It's risky. Higgins is risky. And you can't, and they're one and the same.
they're one and the same. Yeah. I mean, Aperture used some of the money they made on this to sponsor that dinner.
We redirect, Mr. Brennan?
So Alessi was done. Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brandon.
You were asked some
Actually,
questions.
it's morning, but yes.
You were
Oh, so
asked
he has
some
to correct
questions
everybody.
about
Okay.
the ring video from Meadows, which was John O'Keefe's home.
And it's morning. Sorry.
And you were asked whether you're aware if the cameras had changed over time.
Correct.
The fact that the camera was replaced, does that any way affect your opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about your conclusions relative to that touching between the cars?
Absolutely not. It would have shown up as increased error when we overlaid the point clouds onto the photos or the point clouds onto the video. If it was an error, it would have showed an error.
Do you have any concern whatsoever that any of the information from the scan is in any way tainted, compromised, or inadequate?
That would be very hard to do. You literally press a button and stand there and watch it, and the laser does its thing. So I have absolutely no reason to disbelieve it. Additionally, again, if it was messed up, once you laid it over on top of the photograph, it would show the difference. So no, the data's fine.
Is there any evidence whatsoever that you've seen that any parts of your presentation were photoshopped?
No.
You were asked questions about the suspension of the motor vehicle of the defendant's Lexus. Do you have any information that the suspension at any point was changed?
No.
Yesterday, you were asked a number of questions about formulas. You took out your calculator and you were asked about different variables. Were those variables hypotheticals or were they related to this specific case?
So they seemed hypothetical. Again, you have to be careful when you're talking about failure forces on biomechanical things. For example, if you impact the hand with a, say, 1-inch narrow metal bar, that's a lot different than if you have a broad, say, plastic taillight or rear body panel. So when you have distributed loads, you can take much more. I told you guys about sitting on the bed, like how much you sink in. That's an example of spreading your load out. When you spread the load out, you don't sink in as much. So the same thing with, forces on your body. If you take this pencil, I don't have to press very hard for it to pull in. But if I spread it out, I have to press much harder. So you have to look at the distribution of the load when you're talking about the failure. So when you look at the failure loads, it depends on what you're doing it with. If I hit you with a 5-pound 2x4 or a 5-pound pillow, they're both 5 pounds, but you'd much rather get hit by the pillow than the 2x4.
When you were asked questions about communications, when you would have communications with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, did you ever use encrypted apps to secretly hide your communications? Apps like Signal?
No, I don't have any of those.
So the form of the question, ask it differently.
When you were communicating with members of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, did you ever use encrypted apps like Signal to communicate?
I'm going to allow it.
No,
course.
I mean, I don't even know what that is.
Would you ever use an encrypted app so those communications couldn't be tracked?
No.
Would you ever have any reason as a professional for doing that?
Sustained.
Oh, he's trying to set up ARCA.
You were asked about confirmation bias. You remember those questions?
I do.
Could I have slide 33 of your PowerPoint, please?
I'm sorry.
Slide 33.
Give me a second.
Llama, did you see this?
Interesting.
$33.
You could zoom that in, please. A little larger so we can see it.
I cannot do it with one monitor.
You can't do it any closer than that?
No, not since I took down. Oh, hold on. Oh, here we go. Which part do you want me to zoom in?
Ms. Gilman can zoom in for you.
Sorry? Which part?
Ms. Gilman's going to do it for you.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
If you could zoom in, please. Okay. On shift position signal, going forward, then neutral and reverse, does that data suffer from confirmation bias?
No, that's strictly electronic data.
When we look over at the vehicle speed, can we go to the left a little bit? Down. Vehicle speed ending at 2361 miles per hour. Does that suffer from confirmation bias?
No, again, these are direct readings from the vehicle. Again, that speed on this here, you have to correct for the slippage, which I do later on in the slide, but that is a direct reading from what the speedometer is seeing.
Acceleration at the end of that 10-second window, 74%. Does that suffer from confirmation bias?
No, that's a direct reading of a sensor. That's objective information.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Wow.
Anything?
Wow.
Mr.
Your Honor.
Wow. So he tried not to clean up
Yeah, Your
anything.
Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Welcher, you were just asked questions about slide 33, which is the slide about text stream data. You acknowledge that text stream data, what you've called a trigger, like was on that slide, does not tell you if a collision even occurred, correct?
Correct.
With regard to the topic of confirmation bias that you were just asked about in slide 33, am I correct that all of the questions that Attorney Brennan just asked you were about data on that slide, correct? All that's on that slide is data, correct?
And he asked me more questions than just this slide.
But were the questions just about data?
On this slide, it was just about data.
Correct. But confirmation bias is really aimed at opinions and conclusions and alternative hypotheses. Isn't that what confirmation bias gets at?
So generally, yes. Again, I started this case
It was
with the
just a question.
hypothesis.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
With the hypothesis that the Lexus didn't contact Mr. O'Keefe. And so I start what's called the null hypothesis, that this didn't happen. And then I look at evidence to either include or exclude the null hypothesis. So theoretically, my confirmational bias starts with a bias that it didn't happen.
Can you point to one document that shows that you analyzed whether there was no contact between the Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe? Can you point to one document? Was there one document on your slide presentation that analyzed the null hypothesis, as you call it, there being no contact at all? Was there any slide in your direct testimony?
So remember what I said, we start with hypothesis, we get more data, we whittle down our hypothesis to the final answer. I mean, I had 130 slides. I suspect I bored some of these people to death already. So I didn't include everything. There's thousands of photographs in here. There was a bunch of testing I did with the Lexus about backing, pedestrian detection that, removed certain hypotheses. So if I was able to eliminate a hypothesis, I didn't present it here.
Sir, my question is not about.
All the slides show that, to answer your question.
Sir, my question is there any slide that says alternative hypothesis to whatever the label is, whatever the term, it says no contact between the Lexus vehicle and Mr. O'Keefe? Is there any document that you presented to the jury that shows that?
Any document where those words are written on it?
Correct.
No.
How hard was that?
And to work through hypotheses, different ones, and to see whether there's confirmation bias, have you heard of scientists refer that as showing your math, so to speak, in working through hypotheses, documenting each hypothesis and how and why you rejected them? Have you heard of that term in the scientific world, show your math with confirmation biases and alternative hypotheses? Just a question. Have you heard the idiom, the phrase, show your math?
Your question is, have I ever heard show your math, period?
Associated with the application of various hypotheses to avoid confirmation bias. Have you heard of that term used in that conjunction?
Not really in that context. It's probably, I understand where you're going with it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
Dr. Welcher, you are all set.
Oh my God, thank you.
Did he just say, oh my God?
Give me a minute to pack
Sure
up,
did.
and I will be out of here.
So, oh my God, thank you. Oh, thank you. Don't worry, we all had the same reaction as well, Dr.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Welcher.
plugged in. Yes, thank you.
That's like when you're
this
getting out of the
didn't last all
hospital.
day.
Do you want to leave? Oh God, yes.
Yes, you can leave.
Oh my God.
Right?
We can all agree with him. Oh, thank God. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
See, we all
Go
agreed.
over that guy. And Brennan had nothing. Are they going to arrest him? Right. All sides agree.
And we said it couldn't happen.
May I step down?
Yes, you can. Thank you very much.
May I step down? Yeah, she said, go, leave.
Mr. Brennan?
Do you think Welcher gets a drink at the bar at the airport?
Commonwealth moves to introduce and play clip 26.
Karma moves.
More interviews.
Mm-mm.
So I thought, could I have run him over? Did he try to get me as I was leaving and I didn't know it? I mean, I've always got the music blasting. It's snowing. I got the wipers going, the heater blasting. Did he come and hit the back of my car and I hit him in the knee and he's drunk and passed out and asphyxiated or something? And then when I hired David Yannetti, I asked him those questions the night of January 29th. Like, David, what if, I don't know, what if I ran his foot over or what if I clipped him in the knee and he passed out or went to care for himself and he threw up or passed out? And David said, yeah, then you have some element of culpability.
And that was literally a bunch of hypotheticals.
Who wouldn't think that if you found, I mean, I would start questioning everything. I wouldn't tell Dateline, but.
Well, yeah, no. It's a bad idea to do those.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth rests.
Oh, yay! And there were cheers across the
Does
world.
council want to see me?
We do, Your Honor.
Okay, so should we send the jury out or should?
Probably, yes.
So jurors, so everybody can sit. So jurors, the Commonwealth rests. That means that the Commonwealth's case has been presented to you for your consideration. So I need to meet with the lawyers for a few minutes. So we're going to send you back out. I can tell you that it now appears that we're at least on schedule, if not a little ahead of schedule. So we'll send you back out for a short recess.
Rise to the jurors.
Yay! We did it, you
Can
guys.
council come to sidebar, please?
Yes.
We did it. We've sat through all of this BS for the last how many weeks? 5 weeks. I think we're on week 5. No,
You
I think we're on
did,
week
Dave.
6.
They rested.
You did, yes. The Commonwealth
I mean,
is done. Well, they get rebuttal.
maybe you
at-
should
after
do a
that.
poll of what everybody thinks as of right now with the Commonwealth resting, where they would, if defense doesn't do anything.
Okay, yeah, we can totally
What do y'all
do
think?
that. Not me.
I would do it, but I don't know how to do that. Because
Well, it was being
if-
finicky with me the last 2 days and not letting me do it, which is weird. That's why I haven't done
I would
any.
love it if the defense would say, I'm sorry, Your Honor, they have not proved their case.
Oh,
We're asking,
that's-
yeah.
Oh, I mean, they're going to
Oh, yeah,
to
they
definitely
are.
say
But,
that. They always say
But-
such a thing. So
I mean, I believe it's
oh, there we are.
illegal for
But
them
yeah,
not
so
to do
it's
it.
oh, that's because I'm not in the right account. Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's kind of a mandated
And by the way, dope
thing.
meditations. I saw the purple platypus earlier, but I wasn't on camera. I love the purple platypus name. Just had to say that.
I liked it too. All right, hold on. I'm getting it together. My computer does not like when I have all of these things running at the same time. As you guys can see, they're looking a little laggy there on my screen.
Yeah, I heard in
So,
one trial an appeal. The guy got an appeal granted because his attorney did not ask after prosecution rested, did not ask for it to be dismissed. And he wound up getting convicted and they came back on appeal. And that was because they have to ask, which I thought was interesting.
All right. Yes. No.
Oh, that is interesting, Captain. I've seen people online saying those interview clips are all they need. I just don't get that mentality. Nothing has been proven, in my opinion, except everyone's drunk and shady.
Yeah, that pisses me off.
Yeah, because
today is just stuff that's gonna make Llama mad or what? All right, there's a
But I
poll.
mean,
Hopefully, did I do it
wouldn't
right?
you,
Okay.
if you found out that a person died that you dropped off, wouldn't you be running through everything that night and throw out hypotheticals? Could have now hit him in the head. Could I have accidentally run over
Yeah.
his toe? You just don't tell it to 2020 or Dateline.
I'm gonna reload this real quick for us. Yeah, well, it's kind of like with the Richard Allen, the Delphimers. There, people were like, "Oh, well, he confessed under like the harshest of freaking conditions." Okay, even if he did or he didn't do it, you got to throw out those confessions. And it really makes me mad when people do that because, like, people say all sorts of things.
Well,
So
that's like in the yogurt shop murders case that we
There we
covered
go.
at the live show. The cop who was known as the Barracuda for getting witnesses to confess
mhm.
was caught on camera holding a gun to a witness's head to get them to confess. didn't know that they had put a camera in the room. So if they do not ask for a dismissal,
I've never seen them not do it. I mean, they do it in even the most
when they know
of
it's like a
cases,
formality.
no matter what. Yeah, it is that's the perfect word for it. It's very much a formality. So,
I would love for them to call Proctor and Paul. I mean, it would be some entertainment.
Oh, I think they're calling Proctor. I
Oh,
do think that. Paul,
look at John's
maybe?
mom. She is exhausted.
Hmm.
Have y'all ever seen her son lean up and put his hands on her, reassure her or anything?
I honestly haven't paid attention. So
I watch when they show them. I've seen people next to her doing it, but I've not seen him. If that was my mom, I would be leaning up there during these times and whispering in her ear, "Mom, it's going to be okay. How you doing?" I would be doing that. Maybe it's just me.
I think I would rest with the defense at this point. I mean, the defense does not have to put on a case. They're not required to. They're not obligated to. The burden is on the prosecution.
They need to, though.
But I think they really do want to put on a case, not only to help their case with Karen, but also just to show the people, hey, look at all these fuckwagons. All right. Look at what's happening here. This is ridiculous. To prove a point, basically, I think is why they want to put on a case. And they're trying to get her acquitted of this. They're trying to get a not guilty. The defense does not want a hung jury. They don't want a hung jury because then their client could be able to be charged again if this isn't shut down and dismissed with prejudice.
I think they need to put on a defense and finish for those couple of people on the jury that think she's guilty and they came in thinking that, or they think that. I do think they need to do a defense in hopes to get rid of any reasonable doubt that she did do it.
Yeah, I think, how many witnesses did you say the defense called in the first trial? Like 5?
4? It was like 4 or 5.
Yeah. That's what I would do too. I would just go out and start parading in the law
But they only
enforcement
have a
that
week
the
and a
state didn't want
half.
to call.
Remember,
No, that's what they said they would need.
But they are ahead of time, so they could, right?
Maybe. I mean, Joe says the real question is whether or not there will be a verdict or another mistrial, and will the CW keep it up? I think we're going to have another mistrial.
I do too, and I think
that's what I think.
They've gone too far to not go again.
If they do, everyone in that damn city needs to go out and protest this BS.
If they do,
$400,000 spent on those fools who have been on the stand for the last couple of days that could have went to anything else. Anything else. And no.
If they do, maybe we should go there for the next trial. We could start a GoFundMe and maybe people could donate some money to help pay for our hotel and stuff. And we could be there at 4 a.m. to make sure we got a seat. I could ask, I just forgot his name. I'm so sorry. The author, the guy who helped us, Scott. We could ask Scott how that works to see if he can help us maybe get in.
I'll
we
say
could
this.
Give him inside tip.
I really do understand now that the prosecution's closed up their case, I feel comfortable myself saying that I understand the protests that are going on outside. I really do. It's plain as day. I don't think I've voiced that opinion before because, again, I don't really know much about what is happening outside the courthouse. I know people have brought up in chat, boundaries happening and amendment violations and all that. And I'm not very familiar with, I'm not, up to date with all of those sorts of things. But I do very much understand why people are outside protesting this. Because I would too. This is unbelievable. Dave says, I just want to say that while I'm working away here, it's wonderful to have you guys in the background. Thank you for that and for what you do. Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you for being here and everyone else. We love having you all. It makes the day so exciting.
But I have to tell
Isn't
you,
it fun
Llama,
to watch trials together?
if you were actually in the courtroom, if you got one of those press passes, I would
Mhm.
need a camera of your facial expressions during the entire trial. I'm just going to be honest. I would be happy to host it on YouTube while you're in there so we could all talk about your facial expressions.
I'll probably get kicked out by Bev. She's going to be like, excuse me, you media farm animal. I need you to watch your face, please.
But would that not be priceless?
Yeah, it would be. I'm hoping that the Billy Wagner trial starts up soon. I think they're moving that to my county. That's the family that did the Pike County massacre and wiped out
Right.
the whole family of 8. The father's supposed to be starting trial, and I think they're going to be moving it here. So we could send a miss. She has a poker face. That's true. I do not have a poker face.
I mean, and for those of y'all that don't know, yes, I called her a miss instead of a miss a couple of times. And so now
It's
it's
a running
forever
joke.
stuck.
It is.
And I'm sorry, she does not have a poker face when she's in the background for us.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, so far our poll, which was, do you think the Commonwealth proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt? 5% said yes, 95% said no, and 0% said undecided. And I offered undecided because some people want to hear the
Need
whole
more.
thing before they make their decision, and that's totally fine. Even for the 5% that said yes, that's fine too. We are open to
Mhm.
everybody's, viewpoints and opinions here. Everyone I think has a different level of a bar, if you will. So,
And we all have different life experiences. That's one thing that the judge told us on our jury last week. You all come with different life experiences into a
Mhm.
trial. And so
True.
that means you will take on evidence and testimony differently than the person next to you because of what's happened in your life. And I had never thought of that before. It's the way
Yeah.
we interpret the evidence.
That's very good points. What do you think they're arguing about there?
I don't know.
And why can't it be done in front of
And
us? Is what I wanna
why
know.
are all of the cops there bald headed? Even the bailiff is bald headed.
Yeah, those two back there aren't they? God.
Oh, but they're youngins. Look at them. They got to be in their 20s back there. That or I need
Oh,
to put
yeah,
my
for sure.
glasses on.
For sure. I like the big guy there. I like his facial hair. It's like this
His
big
facial hair.
red
Mhm.
mustache. I like him a lot. Oh boy, prosecution rested. Love that for us.
Yeah.
I love that for us. I don't think they're going to call any witnesses today. Probably, they're probably just going to start with that first thing in the morning.
Well, they've got 2 hours if she's wanting to end by 1:30.
But the defense may not
Be
have
ready.
any witnesses there because they may have expected. I do think they were probably expecting Brennan to ask a lot more on redirect than he did. So they may not even have anybody around to call yet. So,
Mommy's here.
oh, look, it's our lovely Annie, the new mom,
Hi.
Annie. Hey, babes.
Hi, Mommy. We hope Tater Tot's doing well.
Yes. Yes, everyone has a bias because of their life experiences. Yes, and witnesses are fine to have theirs, but experts must watch theirs. Exactly. I mean, nobody's life is in my hands right now.
Yeah.
I think it's when it is in your hands, then you got to watch that. Pilola's mom says, exactly. I wonder if the jurist who is now on her attorney team, I'd love to hear from her. Did she see a difference? Whom does she think the Commonwealth should have called? I don't know who this person is.
I don't
understand, but I haven't seen anybody.
If somebody
that
could
doesn't-
point her out in what she's wearing, I would be most grateful.
Mhm. Yeah, like, is she just sitting behind them in the gallery, or I don't know. I mean, I think Brennan was just like, ooh, yeah, we're just not doing
I
great.
I think he was smart because he would have just
Thanks,
kept
babe.
beating in that the guy totally just undid everything.
Right. Good morning, Kelly P. Good morning. The prosecution just rested their case.
So
That's right.
Dope Meditation said she is a blonde. Okay.
Okay. Point out whom we're looking for: the juror from the first trial, the alternate juror who joined the defense team after the first trial. That's who we're looking for. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and close our poll here. Oh, that's not how you do that. So 4% said yes, they do think the Commonwealth has proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and 96% say no, they have not, which that is very interesting.
Yeah, that would
Very,
be a
very
hung jury.
interesting. That right there would be a hung jury, because all you need is one person on either way that doesn't want to switch their vote, and that is equivalent to one person. There obviously wasn't one person that voted that, I don't think, but you get the idea. Y'all get the idea. So yes, Kelly P, and yes, Annie, that's right. So you don't want to miss tomorrow, that's for sure. Victoria George is her name. Okay. Oh, thank you, Savage. Let me go look for that in our Discord. By the way, if you guys like hanging out with us on screen or in the chat, join our Discord. That's where we all hang out afterwards, and we watch stuff, play games, we do all sorts of things. So be sure to join that.
Oh, he put a picture
I
of her.
don't. Actually, is she the one holding that clipboard? So there's mom, dad, mom, I think sister or something, but the girl beside her who has something she's writing on, is that her?
Her hair looks darker and not blondish.
Well, I mean, people can dye their hair at any time.
But wouldn't she have stepped out with? Glad we could
No, she could
entertain
just
Kelly
be
P.
like, she may not be like on the case. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, that's true.
maybe that's where it is. Kelly said that she watched her members only live after work last night, and apparently very, very funny. So I'm glad you liked it, and hopefully there'll be more. Oh yeah. Oh, I can do that. I forgot about that. There we go. We don't need that, because peace out, Dr. Judson Welchure.
Yes. Thank God.
Oh, I'm so glad he's
I've
over.
never heard a witness say that. Have you?
No, but remember when we were watching Lori Vallow's last trial, and Kay was coming up, and she was just like, oh God.
Yeah.
When Lori came to question her. Oh, I love it. It was perfect. Now they have said that they planned on calling Burgess, Welchure, both, one or the other, I don't remember, for the state's rebuttal after the defense is done. Ooh,
So maybe
is
he's
that
going to
going to help them
back for that, because he said he was going to catch a flight, according to Susan O.
But is that going to help these two? I don't think it's going to help. I think their credibility, for me, is completely. I can't do it. I can't.
I think once you dig the hole to try to correct that, you just dig a bigger hole.
Mm-hmm.
Or for Buffy's sake, it would be called the crawfish crawl.
He took notes too. He's a trailblazer, isn't he? He was something. He was something. Right, that's right. Rebuttal won't be until after the defense rests, which defense said they were going to need about a week and a half. So they could rest by the end of next week or beginning of the week after. I guess we'll see how cooperative some of their witnesses are. I am excited to see Brennan do cross. I think we're going to get a little bit more energy out of him than a little spiciness out of him than we have when he was doing the state's case, because he is a defense attorney. And
I was going to say he is a defense attorney.
But I'm curious what the jury even thinks of Brennan. You know, do they even like him? I don't.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
Their attorney setup is so weird too.
It's so weird. This whole
Instead of
courtroom
being
setup
next
is
to
so
each other,
weird.
they're because the defense, they could read the prosecution's computers. I mean, I just don't think that's a good setup.
Right. And so can the gallery. They're like right behind them.
Yeah.
And this courtroom setup's so weird. It's at an angle.
Bizarre.
It's so weird. Let's see. I wonder how many witnesses they'll call. I mean, we got both the ARCA guys. We got dog bite lady. I don't know her name or if she's a doctor, so I don't mean to insult her if she is like a doctor in something. I don't even know what her name is. Probably Proctor. There's 4. Who else are they going
I'd like
call?
to see who they called last time.
I don't remember. Oh, you think I'm right about Brennan and Cross? I think we're gonna see a little bit spicier.
Which I'll be
Brennan.
happy to see that because he is so humdrum.
That's true. Whitey Bulger liked Brennan. That was his defense attorney. At an angle. Biased. Yes, those were my first 2, the ARCA guys.
Crash daddies.
Okay, Dr. Russell is the dog bite witness. Okay. So definitely her. Who else? Let me pull up my list. I know it's not as thorough because if I see their names, it kind of helps. Are they going to call? Oh, we know they're going to call DeSagra. Matthew DeSagra. He's their data guy. So there's 5 people for sure that we know.
Witness.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay.
Court is in session. Please be seated.
And the other brain lady, what was her name? Dr. Stone something?
Right.
Stonebridge?
So jurors, we all, it happens several times a day, doesn't it?
Yeah, not the best place for a courthouse.
So we don't want to waste anybody's time. I know we've spent a lot of time at sidebar and we've had times that we've kept you in the deliberation room because we've been trying to sort through everything, trying to make this trial as efficient as possible, but also honoring and respecting all the hard work of the lawyers that's gone into preparing this trial. So sometimes I do understand that it's frustrating for you. But today we were able to spend some time this morning. I know we kept you in there almost half an hour and we've just spent some time now. So I can tell you that we are ahead of schedule right now. I still need to talk to the lawyers about something tomorrow morning. So we're going to send you home now and have you come back tomorrow morning at 9:30, because today I know we kept you until 9:30, and it doesn't make any sense where I already know I need to talk to the lawyers tomorrow morning.
Why don't we just talk to him now?
For 9 o'clock start. So tomorrow will be a full day, and we'll have you here ready to start at 9:30. Okay, so those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know. And also, please continue to be careful with your social media use. So we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Surprise the jury.
Who else is annoyed? I'm annoyed. Okay, well, we do know tomorrow jury's coming in at 9:30. They're gonna have some arguments in the morning. Isn't she swell? Isn't she? But you know what? We might have some arguments after the jury leaves.
Yes.
All right, so Ms. Little, if you can get me whatever you're going to get me within the next hour, so that would be great. And I'll see everybody tomorrow morning at 9.
Thank you.
Seriously.
What? Why can't we just argue shit right now instead of wasting people's time? Because we don't mean to waste anybody's time. And then do. Okay. Well, you guys. Let's all just breathe. Let's all just breathe. We've been through a lot these last 6 weeks together.
The last day and a half has been brutal. So maybe some
this week has been
breathing
brutal.
and just some rest might be good.
I'm so infuriated with her.
Yeah.
Why can't we just argue whatever it is you have to argue now? Why do we have to wait till the morning?
Because she said she was giving them an hour to get her the documentation she needed to review for tomorrow morning.
So take a lunch break.
I know.
Come back after.
Come back.
It pisses me off, but she's just like, we don't mean to waste your time. We're trying to make this as efficient as possible. Really? Because I think that sounds more efficient because you know it's not going to start at 9 o'clock on the dot tomorrow. You know that jury is now going to be in there waiting till like 10 or longer. Annoyed. Annoying. This is crazy, Nikki. Only a week and a half left and so many unanswered questions. Karen must be so nervous. I mean, I think no matter what, she would be nervous. Being in that seat and having of course, you're going to be nervous. Your fate is in 12 people's hands who you don't know. You don't know how they're going to react or respond to everything. Sure, those interview clips, some of them aren't great.
No.
Some of them aren't great. But I don't think they're the worst. Bye, Haley. We will see you tomorrow as well.
I think Karen's going, oh shit, another mistrial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Maybe not. That's the thing. Every lawyer will tell you, you can't predict what a jury's going to do. I've watched some trials where I was like, hello, it's obvious. And nope. It's very interesting how that all works. Oh, goodness, you guys. You know what? That's okay. We got prosecution to rest today. That's right. Oh, that's great. And I don't think they did a very good job overall. It might be one of the worst prosecution cases I've ever seen. Honestly. I don't think I've seen a side lose that bad before. And that's my opinion, of course. Many of the witnesses I didn't find credible. And the ones I did find credible weren't necessarily in the prosecution's favor. I don't even know why they called the meteorologist guy. That didn't help them at all. It made it worse, so much worse. They couldn't put together a timeline for me. They jumped around with all their witnesses. They talked a lot about certain people they didn't call. that I don't know why, because I didn't watch the first trial, so I don't know why they didn't call Tolly and Seraph and I forget who the other one is. Why they didn't call them? They didn't call anybody from the house except for Jen and the girls, Julie and Sarah.
The defense will hopefully call some of them.
I hope so. That's true. That one was really stressful to watch. But oh yeah, they are worse than the prosecution than Rittenhouse, which is saying a lot. Well, that guy. Oh, that guy. Yeah, worse than the prosecution of Travis. Yeah, there are some bad prosecutions out there, but this one really just.
This was like the cherry on top.
This one takes the cake, that's for sure. I mean, you have so many bad witnesses. The defense made so many of their witnesses their witnesses.
Who do you think the defense will call first? Any speculation?
Well, I think, do they call, well, they're going to be doing Fridays, so they're going to want to end probably on a banger before the weekend, for sure. So maybe they'll start off first with either somebody that was at the house or medical person. I don't know. I don't know who they're. I'm so excited about it, though.
I almost think I would call Proctor because you know he's going to be there on a while, and you could end tomorrow spicy.
Yes. Oh, I hope
and
so.
then come into Monday with extra spice.
Oh, dope meditations. Don't even get me started on grand juries. Okay. I do not like the grand jury process. I don't like any of it. It's always done in secret. And you don't even have to come to them with very much information to secure an indictment. Like when they say a grand jury would indict a ham sandwich, yeah, it's literally that freaking easy to get a grand jury to agree with you. Now, there are some where the grand jury could find charges there, which is very impressive. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty easy. Because only the prosecution says stuff.
Right.
Defense, there is nothing put on by the defense. Defense doesn't even know when it's happening. It's all in secret. I hate it. I hate them. Who are the local witnesses? Can you tell from the list? I can't because I'm not familiar with everybody's names. So maybe some of you who know a whole lot more about this can be like, oh, that's who that person is. Also, are they going to call the snowplow guy?
He was, yeah, his name's on their list.
So there could be 6.
Ryan something.
I know they call him Lucky, but I'm pretty sure that's not his real name. Yeah. Joe says, remember, this is personal now. All the McClairs literally hate her, and none of them went to John's funeral. They just think they own this town, and nobody tells us any different. I mean, it's a witch hunt.
It is.
It is a witch hunt. And again, I don't know if she did it or not. I don't know. They haven't proved anything,
right? In
my opinion. But again, even if she did do it, it doesn't matter because all the evidence was collected horribly. Everyone's being so sketchy, because here's the thing, right? They tell the juries, you get to decide who you find credible. The juror gets to decide. So for each person, it's who do you find credible and who you don't. Is there even any ounce of reasonable doubt? I feel like there's reasonable doubt all over the freaking place here.
For the prosecution ending, I still have so many questions.
Yeah.
They didn't give me physical evidence that I could bite my teeth into for me.
Yeah, no, I've never seen something so bad before. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you what, I'm excited about tomorrow. You guys, I'm still going to be here at 8:30 a.m. Eastern because she said they're supposed to start at 9. We'll see.
She said 9:30.
Well,
no,
jury.
they're starting at 9. That's right.
Yeah, the lawyers and her are starting at 9. So tomorrow will still be the same time tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on Couch Court with Llama. I'll be recording Couch Court After Dark later this afternoon. And then we got True Crime and Wine Time tonight with Terry and Kevin at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Serial killer dentist. I mean, that's...
Can't wait to hear it. I'm very excited about it for you guys. All right, y'all. Well, that's all I really got today. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to do a whole bunch more work that I haven't had time to do. Thank goodness. Take a parade to the streets. The prosecution is done and has rested their case for now. And let's put all the good vibes into the universe that tomorrow is going to be amazing. Because I think it's going to be amazing. And I have not seen anything from the previous trial where the defense, it's their case and how they perform it. So I have no idea what to expect from these guys. And I'm very excited about it. Anything you would like to say, Terry, before I sign us
No,
off?
I can't wait for tomorrow. I mean, I just want to snap my fingers and it be tomorrow morning.
I know. It's going to be like Christmas. We've been waiting.
It's going to be like
patiently.
Christmas. And I think we're going to love it.
I think so too. Well, thank you everyone for being here with us this morning. Those in chat, our lurkers, our replay crew. We love you guys so much. Thank you for being with us today. We'll see you all later tonight. And until then, go forth and be amazing. All right. Bye, everyone. You all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Finger hearts. That's right.
Bye, guys. See you tonight.